assassinated live on television, not just for Americans, but for the world to see. And this being your first opportunity, I understand there's an ongoing investigation. I understand there's things that you can not talk about. But the idea that we're getting less than you did on television is something that Democrats, Independents, and Republicans are going to find unacceptable. My high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, was on the list of mass shootings that Representative Raskin held up. That very day, the school resource officer, a police officer, did not run into the building. He hid in the stairwell while the shooter was in the building. He stayed outside, never helped. Okay. He also directed other officers who showed up on the scene not to go into the building. When it was determined that the failures in response and training, and that the sheriff fired nobody in his agency, Governor DeSantis then removed that sheriff. I supported the removal. So here's my question. You said there's going to be accountability. I understand you don't want to give us names. When you say that, are you telling the committee that once it's concluded, you're prepared to fire the people on the ground who made poor decisions that day?
I'm prepared to take the actions necessary.
No, that's nonsense. Okay. Accountability. The failure was human. That doesn't mean they're bad people. It means they failed that day. And a former president was almost assassinated. Okay. Are you prepared to fire the human failure on the ground? Yes or no? When you have the names of where those failures were, they're people. It's not like a piece of technology failed. It was people who failed that day. Are you prepared to fire them?
I don't have an answer as to whether.
Well, then how can there be accountability if you're not prepared to fire someone? And the reason why your name is going to be the person who's held accountable, the reason why members in this committee are calling for resignation, and I join in that, or for the president to fire you, is because you're saying there's going to be accountability, but you can't commit that people are going to get fired. Let me ask this question a different way. If Trump had been assassinated that day, if the gunman had succeeded,
oh my God,
okay, would you have come and tendered your resignation?
I would still be sitting here because I would want to ensure the integrity of the investigation.
Totally understand. That's a fair answer that you would have set up that process. But would you have had the honor to come in front of the committee and say, a former president was assassinated on my watch, there should be new leadership? And if he had been killed?
That occurred on my watch, and I am accountable for that.
Okay, but would you have tendered your resignation if he had been killed?
I think that I've admitted that I've taken accountability and will take responsibility.
Representative Connolly's question, in which he asked about guns, and you were not willing to commit that makes your job harder. This is not about the Second Amendment. If there are over 400 million guns on the streets, if all of those guns were machine guns, would that make your job harder to protect people?
Again, I think weapons that are out there.
If all of those guns were rocket-propelled grenades, would that make your job harder?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Perfect. This is not a trick question. Thank you. Okay. I won't ask the other 15 things I was going to do.
Yeah, because I can buy an RPG anywhere.
That's all we were asking. It creates a challenging environment. It has nothing to do with the Second Amendment or people's rights, but it does make your job harder. So credit to Representative Connolly for asking that question. One last thing, Mr. Chairman, I'll conclude. You know, there was a question asked, is an Iranian assassin more capable than a 20-year-old? And I have been tough on Iran. I probably have more resolutions on Iran than almost anyone in Congress. But I can tell you it isn't Iranians walking into schools and grocery stores and movie theaters and churches. It is 20-year-olds, right? And some of them are mentally unstable. And they have access to guns. And they're domestic terrorists. Someone talked about Christopher Wray. Christopher Wray has talked about domestic terrorism. And so, yes, we collectively come together on foreign threats. And I am not at all debasing the fact that there are foreign threats here and abroad. But there are domestic threats. And we have to get to the bottom of how we stop domestic terrorism, because it was a 20-year-old who walked into my high school and killed 17 people. He was plenty capable, and he was an Iranian. Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Timmons from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cheatle, we've asked you a lot of questions and haven't really got a lot of straight answers. I have intentionally created a line of questioning that I think that you can't answer. So the first question is, do you agree that the allocation of Secret Service resources should correspond with the risk profile of any given event? A higher degree of risk at one event should get more resources. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Okay. And when two events occur at the same time in the same geographic vicinity, that the risk profile of each event should be taken into account, and whichever event is greater risk should receive greater resources.
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the Trump event. So this was publicly announced July 3rd, Butler, Pennsylvania. The venue is an outdoor fairground, open air, no existing security. The crowd size was expected to be tens of thousands. It ended up being over 20,000. There were general and specific threats from foreign adversaries. As the chairman of intelligence remarked, Iran has said they want revenge, as well as when President Trump was in office, he made a lot of people mad, terrorists to be included all over the world. And, you know, President Trump is the former president and the future president. So I would say that that is a fairly high risk event. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, let's conversely the First Lady had an event at a casino in Pittsburgh, just a few dozen miles away. It was a dinner for the Italian Sons and Daughters of America. It was publicly announced on July 10th. What's interesting is that the casino is actually extremely secure. They already have magnetometers existing prior to this event even being announced. It was in a ballroom. And the size of the crowd, a mere 400. There were no specific threats.
Why is all of a sudden this magnetometer? Does that mean metal detector in English?
Yes, sir.
Why, like all of a sudden they're using this word now, magnetometer, just like when all of a sudden Kiev was turned into Kyiv. It's just so bizarre. Why am I so tiny? That's what she said. I hear that all the time. Lol. I'm trying to stream vertical, Jonathan Earl, because I need to get subs. And I thought this was a hot topic, and I'm so interested in it. And it just seems like no one gives a crap about it right now. But
well, you gotta give it time, bro. It takes a little while for the shorts feed to actually start paying off because folks are scrolling through them or whatever. But when they go back to work, they put their phone in the pocket and leave it running.
All right, now I'm gonna keep rocking. I mean, this is interesting to me. I wish she answered more questions, but it's just odd this magnetometer term.
General threats, and
It's so they sound smarter.
The First Lady,
Right?
Simple.
Those seem like there's a huge disparity relative to risk. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Multiple whistleblowers and various media outlets have reported that the Pittsburgh field office of the Secret Service allocated 12 additional post standers to the First Lady's event and 3 additional post standers to the Trump rally. Is that correct?
There were no assets that were diverted from the First
So no.
Lady's
This is a very
business.
simple question. I'm not asking if anyone was diverted. Did the First Lady's event that was relatively secure, especially compared to Trump's rally, get 12 assets? And did the First Lady's event get 12 assets and Trump's get 3 from the Pittsburgh field office? That's a yes or no. But if you don't know, don't answer it. I mean, if you don't know, don't
The number of
answer it.
personnel that were allocated to both of those events were comparable to the risk at both of those events.
Wow, really? So you think that the Pittsburgh casino, 400 person in a ballroom with ingress egress through probably a very well guarded parking garage was 4 times more dangerous than a 20,000 person rally on an open field with the former president, future president? You think that that's 4 times more dangerous, the casino event?
I didn't say that at all.
Well, they got 4 times the resources from the Pittsburgh field office, who was likely in charge of the final walkthrough for both events. I mean, we've continually highlighted the failures of the Secret Service at the Trump rally. And, you have the former and future president getting shot. You have multiple injuries, 1 fatality. And I would have to think that if we had 9 more post standards, 9 more individuals that have the training and the integration into the Secret Service defense of Trump at that rally, that I have a feeling that Crooks would have had somebody come say hello to him before he fired a bunch of shots. Do you think that's possibly true?
There were significantly more assets and resources available at the former president's event than there were at the First
Who made the
Lady's event.
decision to deploy 12 post standards to the casino where the First Lady was having a 400-person dinner, and only 3 people from the Pittsburgh field office to the 20,000 person plus Trump rally? Who made that decision?
There were additional Secret Service resources available at the former President Trump's event.
Who made the
day.
decision to deploy 12 to the First Lady's event and 3 to the Trump event?
The allocation of resources is decided based on the availability of personnel and their location and where they are, but there were sufficient resources
What did you just
that
say?
were given to.
Did you just say there were
former
sufficient
presidents.
resources? President Trump
event
got
that day.
shot. Someone got killed. There were not sufficient resources, clearly.
There was
And
a
it
gap.
doesn't take 27 years of experience to know that. And whoever made that
It
decision
could have been
probably wasn't you,
sufficient.
needs
It
to be
could have
fired,
just been
and that you need to
utilized
resign
wrong,
because this is
quite
absolutely
frankly.
unacceptable. You've lost the trust of the American people. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes.
God, I wish Holly was here.
He won't
Thank you
answer
so
the
much, Mr.
question
Chair.
of
Thank you, Director,
who.
for being here. When we hear the headline, a 20-year-old young man with access to an assault weapon commits an act of mass
Oh,
violence.
God.
I mean, we've heard this before, over and over again. But the unfortunate thing is that my residents don't get a committee hearing. We have not had one committee hearing about the over 260 mass shootings that we've had, killing hundreds of people, injuring hundreds, changing their lives forever. And don't get me wrong, to many of my colleagues, I mean, I watched, and even the pool of blood, the screams, it was horrific. But it made me think about the images I saw after mass shootings at schools, grocery stores. I mean, I think of Buffalo, New York at a supermarket where a racist gunman killed 10 shoppers with an AR. In El Paso, AK-47 style assault rifle killed 22.
Oh, this is the girl from the squad.
In Florida, Parkland, Florida, 17 students and teachers murdered.
What's her
Again
face?
with an AR. In Pittsburgh, at a place of faith, Tree of Life Synagogue, 11 murdered. And don't get me about Newton, Connecticut, which still breaks my heart. 26 murdered, including 20 elementary school children.
What's up,
This year in
AJ?
Michigan, we've had, Mr. Chair, 2 mass shootings.
Bill.
21
He said
shot
Newton
in
instead of
Detroit.
Newtown.
Because one of the most horrific shootings we've seen, 2 killed at a splash pad in Rochester Hills, Michigan. 8 shot there. Again, an assault weapon used. But the difference here is the former president gets a hearing in his attempt to assassinate, but our residents don't get a hearing about mass shootings, about gun violence in our country. You know, Mr. Chair, I ask this wholeheartedly. You know, they don't have Secret Service to protect them. They don't. I don't have these mass agencies protecting our
That's
kids.
why
in the
we
schools
need
or the supermarket,
guns.
movie theaters, or going to a block party in Detroit. I don't have that. We don't have that. But I can't believe we're just going to focus on that and not the fact that we're hearing yet again in the headlines a 20-year-old young man having access to an assault weapon, a weapon of war. Many of my veterans say they have to be trained to use, but he can get it safely stored by the parent, grabbing that gun, and innocent lives are lost. Director, I know you got asked about this, and I think
Are
it's
we
important,
blaming the gun now?
you know, for us to hear this. But
Trying to
how
get rid of
how difficult
AR-15.
is your job when there's such easy
Always.
access to assault weapons in the streets?
I think the job of a Secret Service agent and officer is incredibly difficult. I think the environment we deal with every day and the dynamics of the threat environment is incredibly difficult. These are brave men and women who put their lives on the line. And a day like we had on July 13th is a day that no one in my agency ever wants to have as their responsibility. It is an incredibly difficult job.
Yeah, I immediately thought of the children in the audience. I mean, when you think about going to a rally with your family, again, their lives are forever changed. The incident are never isolated. I really believe these incidents are never isolated. And I know Detroit Free Press had reported that the 20-year-old Pennsylvania shooter looked up the 2021 Oxford High School shooting in Michigan. Can you comment on what information the shooter was looking up in regarding the tragedy of Oxford High School, where it took 4 of our high school youth there?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to. The FBI has those details.
So you can't even tell us, I mean, was he looking at the type of weapon? How many,
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have those details.
do you have, I mean, did they share that with you though?
I don't have the full content of what his searches were. I think that they are still in the process of examining all of his devices.
Okay. Again, you know, again, the impact, I want to be really serious about this. The impact on our families is more than just this political rally, Mr. Chair. We have to talk about this, even if we're in disagreement. Let's talk about it, because I've seen statistics that show that we could be saving lives now if we ban these weapons of war from from being able to buy it at the local store down the street. I mean, we just can't continue to allow this to happen. And unfortunately, my residents are not former presidents of the United States. They don't get a hearing. They don't get Secret Service, any of that. And even among those that are expressing the failed in the system, they just deserve better. They truly do. Thank you, and I yield.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Burchett from Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Cheatle, the shooter was set up on the roof of the AGR International building, as we know. Was the roof identified as a potential vulnerability days before the rally?
To my knowledge, yes, it was.
Were agents or officers inside the building? If so, what floor were they on?
We had local police officers inside the building.
Thought there's only
The
one
roof looks
floor
like it's a
building.
tin roof. How did no one inside that building hear someone moving on top of a metal roof?
Good point.
I don't have the details of all of the interviews that have been conducted yet.
When will you have those?
I have been asking, and I want to have that information as soon as you do as
Okay,
well.
why did Secret Service fail to block the line of sight from that roof?
I think that the Secret Service put together a
Something
plan where
like
they were
Yaka's.
counting that roof in
Thanks
as
for
part of their
watching. Make sure you
overwatch,
hit that sub.
and that was the plan that they had put in place that day.
If you weren't going to put a security personnel on the roof, why not at least use drone technology or aerial surveillance to monitor the rally?
Right.
There are a number of times that we do use drone technology. I'm not speaking specifically to this event and what was utilized or not. There are times when drone technology is available and helpful at events, and there are times when it
Okay.
is not appropriate.
Do y'all use Signal? Do you personally use Signal to communicate with any official from the White House? Signal on your phone.
Oh, on occasion, I'm sure that there are people that use Signal. Yes.
Okay. Do you use it to speak with the White House? Use Signal.
No, I do not.
Okay. When was Thomas Crooks first identified as a person of interest? Let me help you at 5:10. He was spotted with a rangefinder at 5:51. And when did Secret Service notice him?
Again, I don't have those specific timelines, but it was a relatively short period of time.
Let me help you. 5:52. Ms. Cheatle, why was President Trump
Thanks,
allowed on stage
Ajay.
10
Good
minutes
looking
after
out.
the Secret Service spotted a suspicious individual? That
As-
seems to me to be the worst thing of all. Of all the breakdown and all this communication, all the BS you've been feeding us here today or not feeding us, that seems to be the question.
So as I've stated before, there are a number of events where suspicious people may be identified. That doesn't necessarily.
Ma'am, I submit to you, you got a guy who's going to be the next president of the United States. He's on stage. I've been to these events. We've all been to these events. A car backfires and there's a 15-minute dadgum wait. That's not acceptable. Did the Secret Service tell President Trump that
15-minute
they spotted a
dadgum wait.
suspicious individual before he was shot?
I am unclear as
A
to what the
dadgum
communication
wait.
was with the former
15-minute
president at that
dadgum
time.
wait.
That is a no. Did y'all deny President Trump's request for more security? Yes or no? And when was the
That's a
most
good
recent
question. Here it
request for
comes.
additional security?
The rally request for security, all of those requests were fulfilled.
And were there any personnel redirected to Jill Biden's rally?
No,
Who made the decision on the direction of agents at either one of those rallies?
I'm unclear as to your question on the direction of the agents.
These are good questions.
I said, who directed those agents to be at Miss Biden's rally or President Trump's rally? The specific agents.
So there is a methodology in which agents are available for assignments, and they are assigned based on either geographic location or logistics or flight.
Ma'am, I appreciate all that, but that methodology about got President Trump killed. Was the security detail guarding President Trump a temporary detail?
The personnel who are assigned to the former president's detail are assigned to him.
Why was there a different detail on the opening night of the convention than the detail that was guarding him in Pennsylvania?
The president has a very large permanent protective detail assigned to him. They work shift work, and so it could be that people you saw at the rally were not working the same shift the day that he
Well,
was.
I can assure you, ma'am, somebody that's a lot shorter than the president was not at the convention, and the people that were cowering down behind the mass of agents that were on top of the president were not in the convention hall. At least I didn't see them. You can't seem to answer a single question about an ongoing investigation.
Did he
ma'am.
just whistle?
And you don't know when the information will be
I
released
did.
publicly.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
waiting for the administration to sign off?
No, I am waiting for the results of the investigation, at which time
Okay. Let me ask you.
Oh
one
my
question. You found
God, I got a
explosives in
super
the shooter's
sticker. Thank you,
possession.
lawyer chick.
Is that correct?
the FBI found explosives.
Do we know who directed this young man how to make those explosives?
I believe that the FBI is still looking into that on their investigation.
Ms. Cheatle, you said that the buck stops with me, and I've told my daughter multiple
Thank you
times.
so
my
much,
wife and
lawyer
my daughter,
chick.
we talk about her
Always
all the time
appreciated
about
that money.
how she's going to succeed in life. She'll succeed in life by achieving. Ma'am, you have not achieved today. You've let the American public down. If it was up to me, you'd be gone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Damn.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Crockett from Texas.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And let me just pick up where my colleague from Tennessee left off. Director Cheatle, was the incident on July 13th due to DEI or rather
Yes.
systemic failures in communication and
It's
potentially
DEI,
safety
baby.
protocols?
Say it.
The incident on the 13th has nothing to do with DEI. The
False.
incident on the 13th has to do with a failure or a gap, either in planning or communication.
Thank you so much. In fact, I have a few articles that I will enter into the record once I wrap up that actually
She's
acknowledge
famous.
a number
Smash
of
your
women
house.
specifically for their
She's the one
valor
that
and their
called what's her
service,
face
whether
Butch
it's
Body.
been in various levels of law enforcement. But, you know, I want to stick here for just a second because earlier you had a conversation in which there was a discussion about
That's a
training.
definite smash.
And I want to talk about training and I want to talk about the fact that there's been a little bit of dancing around as it relates to this being a suspicious person and this being a situation that was perceived to be a threat. And it seems as if there's a different analysis that takes place. One of my questions
Oh,
has to
different
do
categories
with
of
if you
people?
have any bias training that your officers undergo. And the reason that I ask that, because as a civil rights lawyer, I have learned so many times in
She's
having
a
to deal with
civil
law
rights lawyer?
enforcement
God, I
that
feel
there usually
inept.
is not a perception of a threat when it is a
Oh
young
my God,
white
look at this.
male,
We got Male
even
Monkey
if they are
coming in with
carrying
a
a long
10.
gun. Yet a lot of
Beat coming
times,
in
at
with
least
a
in this
20,
country, when it comes
bro.
to law enforcement,
This
there is
is
a perceived
awesome.
threat.
Thank
Just
you.
like I might have a lot of times, one of the things that on my side of things, when I say my side, when we are looking at a tragic law enforcement building error, is the bias training, whether or not officers are getting it. So I'm curious to know, and some of the training that you talk about that is
Yeah,
part
you
of your
guys are
budget,
awesome.
has
Thank you
bias
so
training been
much,
part of that?
fellas. Thank
Yes,
you
it
so
is.
much,
Okay,
ladies.
thank you. I know that today is a rough day, and on that day in Pennsylvania, it was a rough day. And the reality is that I understand it, and you may or may not know the answer to this question. In the space in which this event took place, it was an open carry space. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I hail from the state of Texas, and interestingly enough, I was serving in the state house right after there was a mass shooting in El Paso. We had an opportunity to do right by our citizens in Texas, but we did not. Instead, they passed permitless carry. And what my colleagues kept trying to get you to answer, because we want to come up with solutions, we don't want to keep pointing the finger. And right now, you've got a bunch of fingers that are pointed at you. But our job is to solve problems for the American people. And to be perfectly honest, the numbers are clear. I think almost every major law enforcement agency come forward and say that they were against permitless carry because they said that their jobs would be made more difficult. Unfortunately, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle in the state of Texas decided that they would ignore those warnings, and they passed the law instead. And right after they passed that law, we ended up with Uvalde. And we heard the stories of those officers that were scared to go in and save those babies because of the firearm in that case, 18-year-old had in his hands. They also were given an opportunity to say, hey, raise the age and make it to where at least you have to be 21 before you can possess this type of weapon. And they chose not to. And we have the facts. It shows, and I'll enter this into the record as well if there is no objection, deaths from firearms keep climbing in Texas decades after lawmakers began weakening gun regulations. That is from the Texas Tribune.
Without objection to order.
Thank you so much. The last thing that I'm just going to make a point of saying is that we all care about this issue because we know that there has been a spike in violence, political violence in this country. Are you aware of the fact that the numbers are higher right now?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to that, and I'm going to point a little blame at ourselves because right now you got all the fingers pointed at you. But the reality is that we have a number of congressional members that are consistently engaging in violent rhetoric, and it needs to be toned down. The reality is that people are listening and they're paying attention. But unfortunately, another thing that is happening because we're not getting answers from you today is the conspiracy theories. They have already began. Have you heard of any of the conspiracies?
Yes.
Okay. The problem with these conspiracies is that when people believe that, say, the president of the United States ordered a hit, or they believe it was an inside job, or whatever conspiracies they believe because they don't have any facts in front of them, that potentially incites the next level of violence at the next event in retaliation for this. So we are only begging for your job as it relates to being the director, as well as the men and women that you are protecting as their director, that you keep them safe by making sure that the American people have the information
don't let
they need so
any
that they can feel
emergency
as if
go to
Secret
waste,
Service
right?
is
Or
on the
any
side of the American people. And ma'am, I
they
don't
want to
doubt
take
that
your
Secret Service
guns
is on the
away.
side of
Here's
the
a
American
perfect
people.
chance to
But
use
right
it.
now, so long as these conspiracy theories continue to fester, it is going to make your job that much harder. Thank you so much, and I yield.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Cheatle, I'd like to remind
Here
you
we
that you're
go.
under oath. The site team
Oh, it's
has a
MTG.
senior supervisor, an advanced team,
Shout out to
protective
MTG. Here
intelligence
she
team,
comes.
a counter sniper element, and detail. Who was the agent in charge? How long has she been the agent in charge? And what is her Secret Service background?
The butch built body
So
bitch.
I'm
What
not
she
going to
call
provide
it?
a name.
Why not? You're here to answer our
This
questions.
forum, I'm not going to provide names of.
You stated in your testimony, you said, I am here today to answer your questions.
That is correct.
Answer the question.
I'm not going to provide names of our personnel.
Why not?
Today.
The American people are demanding these answers from you today, Ms. Cheatle.
I will do the best to provide you accurate information based on the facts that I have at this time.
You're not answering our questions. The advance element coordinates with other intel or law enforcement partners, identifies threats and weaknesses at the sites and movements. We'd like a copy of the advance report. Have you brought it here with you today?
We will comply with the request for the documentation that has been requested.
When will that be, Ms. Cheatle? Because you should have brought it today.
I am certain that our personnel are working on obtaining all of that documentation.
I don't believe you, and neither do the people watching this hearing. You're not doing well, as Mr. Moskowitz informed you. You've been sitting here for over 3 hours, and I have you know the entire country is demanding you resign and demanding that you be fired if you do not resign. Things are not going well for you. You need to answer the questions. Was there a protective intelligence team, and what technical resources were utilized for that event?
She's going to get fired
Specifically,
anyways.
drone or
Might as well
helicopter
just do
assets?
whatever.
There were a number of technical assets that were deployed for that event, and there was a protective intelligence team that was assigned to that event.
Why was Crooks able to fly a drone over the entire area the day of the rally and the day of his assassination attempt?
To my knowledge, he did not fly the drone over the entire area.
How did he fly a drone over the area, period? Any part of the area?
Again, I would have to go back and check the timeline of when that took place and when the event.
Why didn't you bring the timeline with you today to answer our questions?
I don't have all of the answers on the timelines based on the criminal investigation.
Were you not prepared today to answer our questions?
I am prepared to answer the questions based on the information and wanted to be able to provide.
Do you have a timeline at all from any of the day?
I have a timeline that does not have specifics.
That's shocking. That is absolutely unacceptable. That means you are a failure at your job. Let's talk about things that are prohibited in Trump rallies. And I've been to a lot of Trump rallies. Backpacks and bags, bicycles, firearms, any type of weapon or any other item determined to be a potential safety hazard, like a rangefinder would be one. At 5:10, Crooks is first observed by one of the snipers, AGR Sniper 1, at the building. 5:10, President Trump was shot in the face at 6:11 p.m. 5:28, AGR Sniper 1 takes a picture of a bicycle and 2 bags. Those belong to Crooks. 5:32, AGR Sniper 1 spots Crooks looking at his phone and using a rangefinder. 5:55, Butler ESU Command confirms receipt of photos and states they have been relayed on. 6:05 p.m., AGR Sniper 1 later communicates that Crooks is seen moving northeast in direction of Sheets and that Crooks has a backpack. 2 minutes before the shooting, while President Trump has been allowed to take the stage, people see Crooks laying on his stomach in a sniper position on the roof, and they're yelling he has a gun, and they are trying to alert law enforcement and Secret Service. Why was Crooks not shot by the snipers? Why was he allowed to be there?
As soon as the individual was identified as a threat, they were.
No. What do you consider to be a threat? A man with a gun laying in a sniper position, a man that had a backpack, a man that had a bicycle, a man that had a rangefinder. At what point is he determined a threat?
An individual with a backpack is not a threat. An individual with a rangefinder is not a threat.
What about a man laying on a building that has direct line of sight of President Trump with a gun that people are screaming and pointing out? Is that a threat, Ms. Cheatle?
Once that individual was identified, they were neutralized.
No, they were neutralized. Crooks was neutralized after he shot President Trump in the face, Ms. Cheatle. Is he only a threat once he fires the weapon?
As soon as the counter sniper identified that individual, they were able to neutralize them.
How were people in the crowd? Okay, then let's just take it this way. People under your command did not consider him to be a threat, yet people in the crowd knew he had a gun and considered him to be a threat. That means that you are a complete failure as the director of the Secret Service, that people under your command don't perceive a man laying on a roof with direct line to the president with a gun. They don't perceive that to be a threat, yet the people in the crowd do. How is that possible?
That's the last question, but please answer the question, Ms.
He
Director.
is not wrong.
I'm not certain at
in
this time how the information
He's
from the
not.
people in the crowd was relayed to any law enforcement personnel.
No, you knew that everyone knew. The people there knew that there was a danger. They knew there was a threat to President Trump, and it was allowed to happen. Was there a stand-down order, Ms. Cheatle? Was there a conspiracy to kill President Trump?
Absolutely not.
Then how did this happen? And why are you still sitting here not turning in your letter of resignation?
Last question, but please answer, and then I'll recognize Ms. Presley. Please answer the question.
That is what we are investigating to determine.
We're waiting for your letter. We are waiting for your letter of resignation, and you really need to consider doing that before you leave today.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Presley from Massachusetts.
Thank you. No one, absolutely no one should fear for their life at a political rally,
Smash your pass.
in a
Oh,
classroom,
God.
in a
Stop.
faith house, or in their homes.
Stop.
We must do something about political violence in all its forms and gun violence in all of its forms. Now, Director Cheatle, you have noted that numerous investigations are ongoing related to the Secret Service response and that we can expect a report in the next 60 days. With the election nearly 100 days away, that is an unacceptable timeline, and it makes people less safe. It also allows my colleagues across the aisle
It's very rare that you
Republicans
see
additional
both
time
sides of the
to spread
house
dangerous
just rip someone to
misinformation,
shreds.
which also puts people in harm's way.
It's so
Some Republicans have exploited this moment
Interesting. I
to
can't think of
continue to
anyone
attack
where
progress
this has
towards racial
happened
justice
before. I'm
and
new
gender
to the
equity in
game,
America.
sure, but
Disappointing, but not
it's a bit rare
surprising.
to see this.
I
people.
hesitate to repeat their racist and sexist tropes, but in summary,
Last time I saw
Republicans
it
have
was with
wrongfully and shamefully stated
the
that
Oxycontin
hiring women
questioning.
and people of color
Oh.
hindered the response to the shooting. Now, this is part and parcel of Republican strategy to constantly attack necessary diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts
It's not
to
necessary.
undermine the contributions that women,
Wrong.
people of color, the disability community, and others make to this
That's what we
country
need. We need
each and
a
every day. And it
someone in a
is
wheelchair
disgraceful.
on Secret
In
Service.
the wake of
Law.
nonviolence and
Every
tragic
time one of
gun
these
fights,
DEI
Republicans are
hires
ignoring
starts
solutions
talking, our
like gun
viewers
safety
drop
reform and instead
immediately.
trotting
Oh,
out
God.
sexist tropes. Can't say I'm surprised. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record reporting from CNN titled "Right-Wing Media Figures Blame Women in Secret Service and DEI for Security Failure in Trump Shooting."
Without objection to order.
This article quotes members of
This
Congress
is a
and
good
others
question.
that
Who did
plainly
appoint this
accuse
person?
DEI
Let's look that
and the
up.
hiring of women as a liability for the Secret Service. Women have been an integral part of the agency since 1971 and are held to the same standards as their male counterparts. To use them as a scapegoat
Bullshit.
during a time
Bullshit.
of crisis
Bullshit.
is shameful and it is dangerously divisive. In fact, based on recent publicly available demographic data of the agency, the largest demographic groups among special agents are white and male. But to right-wing extremists, the truth
Shocking
doesn't matter.
that the
lies
largest
they tell to
demographic
advance
group
their
in America
anti-diversity agenda,
is
which is a key
represented.
theme throughout Project 2025, will only make the
Amazing.
American public less safe and more divided. And every day, Director Cheatle, that you fail to give us answers, they are given more oxygen to make their baseless claims that women and people of color are responsible for tragic events. And that is dangerous too. Thank you. And I yield my remaining time to Ranking Member Raskin.
Thank you to the distinguished gentlelady from Massachusetts, and thank you for those trenchant insights. I wanted to make the point that you were making and several of other members were making to bring it into sharp relief here. The very same day that Donald Trump narrowly escaped an assassination attempt, but an honored firefighter was gunned down and killed and other people were injured, there was another mass shooting that day. Just several hours later in Birmingham, Alabama. 4 people killed and 10 wounded in a nightclub shooting. And you might think, oh, that's some kind of freakish coincidence. Not at all. We have more than one mass shooting a day in America. They are so commonplace now that they are barely reported in the national news. It's, of course, local news in Birmingham, Alabama.
And what does this have to do
and 10
with
other people
Trump?
were shot and seriously wounded, being treated at the hospital. These things are a nightmare for the families of the victims who've been killed, for the families who have to take care of people who've been seriously injured and wounded. They are a major financial drain, publicly and privately, and yet we allow AR-15s to be purchased with abandon, promiscuously, all over the country. People can just go out and get an assault weapon.
It's so right.
And the distinguished gentlelady from Michigan was right. We have a hearing when it affects the president
It's
of the
not
United States.
advice.
All the other days of the year, we don't have a hearing about it. And I think it is because of an honest disagreement we have about the Second Amendment. There are some people who think the Second Amendment means you've got the right to arm yourself with whatever weaponry you need to overthrow the government of the United States. And we reject that as a false interpretation of the Second Amendment and a false interpretation of the Constitution. We can ban assault weapons. We did it back in 1994. It dramatically reduced these mass shootings. And when that ban was lifted, the mass shootings went up through the roof again, and we've shown it. And so just like we're demanding real answers and real action from the Secret Service, let us demand real action and real answers from ourselves about the nightmare of mass gun violence, which puts America into a category all its own when you compare us to the countries in the European Union or Canada or other similarly situated countries. There's nothing like
No, sir, they compare themselves to
act as a
us.
Secret Service to protect ourselves against political violence, and we got to act as a Congress to protect ourselves against AR-15 violence in America.
Chair recognizes Ms. McClain from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, I want to thank the Secret Service agents, those who worked tirelessly to protect our presidents, and specifically those agents who did not hesitate to jump in front of President Trump. And my heart goes out to the family of the
About
Contour
30
family
seconds late.
and the people at the rally who are still recovering. On the other hand, the Secret Service has a leadership problem, and it falls on you. And although I appreciate your hollow words that the buck stops here, I was actually hoping for some answers. Director Cheatle, you must answer to the American people if you want to stay in charge. It's really, really simple. You want to keep your job, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. The best way to keep your job is to answer the questions, not play this shell game, not sing the Slim Shady song. Wasn't me. I mean, come on. How long did you prepare for this hearing?
I've been preparing for this hearing over the weekend and into last week.
Okay, 5 days, 6 days?
Doesn't
as soon as I was
Shaggy sing
notified.
"Wasn't
And how
Me,"
long
not
was that
Slim
about
Shady?
this hearing.
I was fixing to say
I've
that
been preparing.
that's
4
going
days,
to
3
go
days?
great.
I'm not
Age
sure the
like
date that I
milk.
got the letter asking me to be here.
What are you sure of?
Welcome back, Bill.
Are you sure the color of your hair? Are you sure the color of your suit? I'm just like, tell the American people, what are you sure of? You don't even know when you started preparing for the hearing. I mean,
Lol.
the biggest hearing of your life, and you have no clue. You
This is
can't
the biggest ass
remember
whooping I've ever seen.
when you started preparing for this hearing. Can you understand why those
Purdue.
words seem hollow to the American people who are supposed to entrust
Purdue
their
was
faith in you?
savage.
I assure you, the moment I received notification,
But you can't remember. You got a little Alzheimer's, dementia going. I mean, what, you can't remember.
I have several active investigations
disrespectful.
going on in an operational agency to run.
Okay. All right. But you want to take accountability, right? The buck stops with you, right?
I am taking accountability.
Super. Then let's start with trying to answer some questions. You keep referring to the FBI. When asked how many shell casings were on the roof, you referred to the FBI. When asked if there were explosive in the car, you referred to the FBI. When asked if Crooks was acting alone, you referred to the FBI. See a common theme here? I can go on and on. My question is, who at the FBI should I speak with? Wait for it. Wait for it.
The FBI is responsible for the
Herbert
criminal.
Hoover.
Is there a name?
I'm not certain.
I'm not certain.
who at
All
the
right, here we go.
FBI
I'm
is
not
running the
certain. I
investigation.
don't know. Let me ask a different question. Have you been in communication with the FBI?
Yes, I have.
With whom?
I speak with the director and the deputy director.
Okay. And what have they shared with you about this
Which I
investigation?
believe the
So I'll
director
give you
was at that rally.
an opportunity to answer again. Did they share with you how many shell casings were on the roof?
They have shared with me the.
Did they share with you how many shell casing were on the roof?
Yes.
Okay. How
Why
many
didn't she
were
answer
there?
before?
I would refer to the FBI for
How
their investigation
many?
Answer the
and their
question.
information that they need to share in their investigation.
So they've
What
shared
is
the
this?
information with you.
She knows and she
You
won't
just
tell?
don't want to share the information with us, correct?
We have concurrent investigations that are going on.
So they have shared this information with you. You know the answer to the question. You just refuse to answer the question from the member of Congress who has subpoenaed you to be here. Is there a different answer to that question?
I was always willing to come here and testify before this oversight hearing.
Beautiful. Then let's
wasn't a-
do that.
was
Let's
necessary.
for once have your actions match your words. So you've been in communication with the FBI. You know the answers and you refuse to tell us the answers. So I will ask you again. You know how many shell casings were on that roof. What is the answer to that question?
I like this.
I think
woman.
it's pertinent.
What
to talk-
is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent to talk to you about the information that the Secret Service has and that the Secret Service knows related.
I'm
to the
asking
events
you
on
an
that day.
answer.
Why won't
to
she
the
answer this?
question. If you're supposed to be in charge, if the buck stops,
Because she was
You are
drinking
the
box
information
wine
the
for
Secret
9
Service
days.
has.
She was
Wait,
drinking
wait.
box
My
wine for 9
fucking
days.
God.
Wait. What? Okay. Here we go. I guess I need to start a poll or something here. What? Do you think she knows how many shell casings are on the roof? What do you guys think she does or not?
Yes.
If she
why,
does,
She just said she knows.
so why would
Yeah.
she not answer? Why is she not answer? What is the?
she doesn't have to answer anything about a currently open investigation into an attempted murder plot. That goes all the way down to your average detective. But at the same time, details that are already publicly available and are not in any type of juxtaposition of causing a problem with the investigation should be available. She should just Google the questions while they're coming to her and say whatever the hell Google gives her, because that would be publicly available information.
It's no secret. It changes nothing other than each shot makes them look worse.
Okay, so the more shells, the worse she looks. Yeah, I could see that. Okay.
But still,
Well-
everybody knows already.
Well, I don't know. It's like 5 or 8. I don't know. What is it? I mean, how many times did he shoot? Do we know for sure? We don't, right?
You obviously have not watched what I sent you, sir.
Well, I haven't because I'm on the show. I haven't.
I know.
I only have
I'm
one
just
screen
messing
right
with you.
now. Sorry.
I'm just messing with you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
It's
man.
actually kind of still in question.
Oh,
The audio analysis is inconclusive.
I mean, it's like what it's so like, I don't know, man. Let's figure this out. I like this woman though, Mrs. McLean, wherever
Yeah.
she is. She's really like nailing her to the board and be like, answer this question. Let's go.
How come you can't share the answers? What are you covering up?
We'll
What
lock
are
her
you
up.
hiding, my friend?
She
Yeah, what are you
refused to
covering
answer
up?
questions under a
I'm
subpoena.
not covering anything else.
Then why can't you answer a simple question?
I would leave it to the criminal investigation to answer questions related to that.
When you talk to the FBI and you ask them how many explosives, well, let me ask you, did you ask them how many explosives were on the roof? Did they answer that question? Or in the car, excuse me. Did they answer that
We should be
question for
running
you?
this like a telethon.
Yes.
Yes. So you know the answer to that question that my colleagues have asked you. But again, you refuse to give us the answers. You're playing this wasn't me. Well, I submit to you, if you can't, and it's not a can't, it's a won't. It's not a can't. It's not a I don't know. It's a I choose not to answer the question. Well,
That's a
let me
fact.
tell you, Miss Cheatle, if you're going to lead, you need to lead. If you want to be in charge, then answer the question or step aside and have someone with the courage and the guts to answer to the American people the questions that they deserve answers to. And with that, I yield back.
Chair now
Oh, no,
recognizes Mr.
she
Colbert,
she does kind
Colorado.
of have a
Thank you,
mommy
Mr. Chairman. I'm
mommy
going to
thing
continue down
going
that
on.
vein. You have been here sitting today, Director Cheatle, definitively able
And
to
if
dismiss
anybody's interested, that was the
erroneous
smash.
information and speculation. However, you are refusing to
Thanks for
answer
clarifying.
questions that we now know that you have the
That
information
wasn't
for.
me. I didn't
You
do that.
are saying that you are wanting to answer questions that the
This is a
Secret
smash, too.
Service has information to. Well, ma'am, you are the Secret Service.
So I feel duty to report. I used to live in Colorado, up in Aspen, and Rifle, Colorado is where she's from. I've been to that restaurant. I think it's closed down now, where the waitresses had guns. This is before she was like a congresswoman or whatever. It's just kind of interesting. But let's get back to it.
Oh, and she'll give you a hand job in a theater. I mean, you can't beat that shit.
On camera. She's officially an international porn personality now.
There you have it. There you have
I
it.
mean,
Let's
after Congress, her only route is OnlyFans.
Right? She's golden. That's that golden parachute we talk about.
Oh yeah. I mean, if she
you have said that you
if
are
she
the
doesn't
best.
make enough to get a full lifetime pension, I'll tell you, she got OnlyFans.
Okay, I'll let her know. I'll pass it
So,
on.
I'm going to ask you some questions now knowing that you do have answers from the FBI, whom you have been passing the buck to this entire day. And I'll start with something that
Hey, thanks,
maybe
Brandon.
the FBI doesn't know
Thanks
because
for pulling
it has
up.
to do with you personally.
Thanks,
You
Sasquatch.
said you spoke with President Trump
Hit
after
that sub, my
the
dude,
assassination
please.
attempt. And I want to know, did you apologize to him directly for nearly having President Trump killed?
Yes, I did.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that you recognize that this was your failure. Now, since the assassination attempt, you are under oath, reminding you. Have you communicated with anyone at the White House on an encrypted messaging app like Signal? Yes or no?
No, I have not.
Are you willing to surrender your personal phone for analysis?
If I am required to do so.
Okay. I will look into making that request because I would like to see your personal phone to see if you're communicating over encrypted messaging apps. Have you ever turned down enhanced security requests from Donald Trump's detail, his special agent in charge, Sean Curran? Have you ever turned that down?
No, I have not.
Have there been
She has not.
Has
Is
your
someone
team,
under
has the
her
Secret
changed
Service?
on it? That's the next
maybe
follow-up
not you
question.
personally,
I believe, as I mentioned earlier, there are times when requests are made for
and you have
assets,
denied them? They have been denied.
and a denial doesn't
Has the Trump
necessarily
campaign
mean-
made requests for additional assets that have been denied?
Denial doesn't mean vulnerability.
Have there been additional requests
That's
for
a
enhanced
yes.
security at Mar-a-Lago?
We have made a number of enhancements to.
You confirmed that there were
security.
bomb sniffing dogs that were provided. You failed to confirm if there were aerial security surveillance assets that were provided. So yes or no? Was that provided?
At the rally.
At the rally, yes, ma'am.
We had Overwatch provided at the rally.
You've confirmed that the assassin was identified as suspicious 57 minutes prior to the shooting. Was the suspicious individual ever approached by an agent? Was any contact ever made with him?
Not to my knowledge.
Is that the standard protocol for someone who is identified as suspicious?
The
Personally.
protocol would be to locate the individual and.
And you said that
conduct
he
an
was
interview.
located 2 to 5 times approximately?
No, I said that the
I think she's handling
information
it
was
extremely
passed
well.
potentially somewhere
She
between 2 to
is.
5
And he was never
times.
located by an agent?
To my knowledge, that individual was not located by an agent.
We have dozens of rally goers who have identified him and not one agent on the ground. There are many agents on the ground, local law enforcement, Secret Service. No one was able to identify him and have sights on and see him.
What I'm saying is that the agents that were on the ground at the time, I have no knowledge that they were able to interview him or locate him.
Thank you. Was there a local law enforcement officer who approached the roof and saw the shooter and saw that he was present on the roof?
That is the information that has been shared with
Have
me.
you spoke to that local law enforcement officer?
No, I have not.
Are you going to?
It is part of a criminal investigation that the
Are you going to-
FBI is interviewing those individuals.
Were agents stationed on the water tower?
No,
No,
Why?
we can see that.
that
Who
would not be
was?
something that would be included in a security plan.
Has a man who is reported to have been present
I guess she's
wearing
never
a
played
gray
Call of
suit who
Duty.
allegedly requested a photo of the dead body of the assassin on top of the AGR roof been identified?
Yeah, who
I
did
don't
that?
have that information.
Who did that?
Is that
That's a
something
good.
that you've heard of?
No.
Were ATF agents present at the rally?
Yeah, so in case you didn't know, there is a picture of the shooter after he got deleted. It's just like a picture of his head, some blood on it. Doesn't like show the full thing.
Dude, I was on Juicy J's
Did I
stream
send
the
that
other
to you?
night, and he paused it by accident on the scene of that dude's head. It was up for like 3 minutes before I was able to get in touch with him and be like, dude, take that crap down. What are you doing? He was like, oops. It was beautiful.
Hey, Barney, do you want that picture?
The picture of the deleted guy.
Yeah.
No, I've seen it. I'm not going to post it
Okay.
here.
No, I
Here we
didn't
go.
think you would, but-
This just in. We have how can I say this here? Let's just show this. This is from one of our contributors here. Boom. The American Sloper. We see nothing. She has the angle of. Can you see this? I'm on my not usual setup right now. There it is. That's as big as I can make it. I'm not like an expert. All right, thank you so much for that. Let's see here. Let's get back to this woman. Yeah, I mean, she's considering everyone's just taking a bite out of her. She's doing pretty good. I couldn't handle this.
I mean,
I
you
don't know.
would because you'd have to when you're subpoenaed. If you try to leave, they'll lock your ass up. Like, this is serious, bro.
Well, yeah, but she's also required to answer questions by subpoena. If she
Nothing,
wants
not,
to plead the fifth,
not,
that's
if,
another story.
not if it's involved in an active investigation. She has qualified immunity on that point. There's nothing.
Yeah, but
that
not if it's public information.
How did it become public? Was it officially released, or was it just something that someone said somewhere? You know,
I mean, either way, it's
that's
public.
the point. She is standing directly on the official narrative of what's supposedly going down here, and nothing else.
I don't know, man. I mean, no, Dirt, that's not confirmed, that pic, bro. I've read about that. I don't think that's real, so I don't want to spread falsities. But thank you.
What?
So, you know, there was a question whether the shooter, anytime there's a shooter, the first question that comes to my mind is what race are they and are they trans? Of course, I don't want them to be white, right? Because I don't like holding that L. But it seems like there's a lot of these trans shooters. That's a fact. And there's a picture floating around that resembles them, but I think it's someone else.
Oh yeah,
So,
with the neck thing on.
yeah, with the choker. I don't think that's him. So I don't want to spread that. But
If it is him, it's probably Photoshop, though.
but we'll I don't think it is, Dirt. You got to send me confirmation because I've read elsewhere that it's not. I don't want to spread it. Believe me, I want the shooter to be trans. It's just it's great for views, and it goes to show that like whatever the treatment is wrong because they're hyping them up on all these hormones. I'm really getting off track though. Let's get back to the biggest grilling. This is like a bilateral grilling. Sure, the lefties are grilling her just like the righties. The lefties have more of an agenda to take your guns away, but at least they can agree on something. Let's get back to it. This woman, 280,000. Is she a softball player, aka doesn't like dudes? I can't find anything about her having a man.
She hates men. There is no way that woman with that face is not pinch hitting for the same team. I'm telling you, she hates everything male, white, or Republican. I promise you.
She hates her father. She hates Trump. Definitely. Try to find if we can find a picture of her with her wife or whatever, or softball team. That'd be great. I'm looking, but I can't find nothing. It's very bizarre. Very bizarre. Let's go.
To attend or to work?
To work.
Not to my knowledge.
How long did the counter sniper have crooks in his sights before the shooter opened fire on President Trump?
I don't have that specific timeline.
Will you be able to tell us if he communicated with other agents on what he was seeing through his sights?
Once I have that information, absolutely.
Because we need to know why he waited for multiple rounds to be fired
She
at
still
President
carries her
Trump
birth name,
before the threat
so
was
she's
neutralized.
not married, apparently.
Well, no, that's these kind of women. Man,
Unless
these
she's
kind of women,
Bush.
they don't even take their man's name, or worse, they hyphenate it. Please, that means nothing, honestly. And Marty Calmer, right or wrong, her attitude makes me mad, sir. The president literally got shot, so she's definitely wrong.
Oh my God.
She's not right. Like, the president got shot, you know, unless you believe that it was like some wrestling thing and he had fake blood. I mean, he cut his ear. I mean, you know, the crazier things have happened.
If you believe that, Barney, even if you believe that,
I don't.
You cannot deny the presence of an active individual taking shots, whether or not he was hit. He might have been shooting at the moon. We don't know, but I'm saying, even if you believe that he faked the whole thing, they did not fake a dead body on that roof.
Yeah. Unless she's working for the deep state, and that was her job. So, you know, who knows, man? Who knows? Pretty much almost anything's open for debate at this point.
Well,
This is crazy.
What actually ends conspiracy theories, right? Facts.
Okay.
That's what stops
Midwest,
conspiracy
baby.
theories in their tracks usually.
Hey, Midwest, bro. Midwest accountability. Give me some of them juicy subscribers you got over there, baby. Like, give me a share. Maybe whisper in my ear a little bit. Give it a little lick because you love me. You know.
Hey, whatever it takes. I'm not beneath or above begging for subs. Do it. Listen. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to this woman, and she's taking it like a champ. This is the biggest ass whooping I've ever seen on the Hill, and she is taking it like a
We need
champ.
to know if he was given an order to hold fire. Now it's you've excused the roof of being unmanned because of the slope of the roof. Do you continue to assert the slope of the roof as a credible reason for leaving this position undefended?
First, I'll go back and correct that there was no order to hold fire. Our agents and officers have the ability to neutralize a threat.
She's trying to blame the male
I'm
shooters.
sorry, you don't know the communication that
blaming
was
the
taking
snipers
place or
now.
how long he had admitted sites because you haven't spoken to him, but you do know that there was no order to hold fire.
I can tell you the way that our personnel are trained.
The
they are
local
trained
police
on the-
didn't have that authority from them.
Well, the police.
That's the issue.
I don't think the police had snipers.
I'm
Yes,
going to
they
go
did.
out on a limb here.
The three
and
you
say
see
that
on the three or the two you see behind Trump, they were local.
Those were local guys?
Yeah.
I'm
sniper
going to
that
go out on a
actually
limb
took him
here
out
and
was
say that
500 yards away.
anyone at all who kills a sniper trying to kill a president or former president will probably not be convicted of murder. And so any random dude with a firearm could have taken care of that situation and probably been protected.
Except from the person that is there to shoot anybody with a firearm that not
I
supposed to
get
happen.
what you're saying, but if you pop a cap, strip it, and drop it, and you're standing there with your hands up, you are less likely to get shot than you are if you're trying to hand somebody the freaking gun. I'm just saying, take the
Yeah,
shot.
but
and
you're talking about an 80-20 chance, and I ain't taking that.
Gotcha. I know it's a long shot, but still, I think that individual may have been safe.
Well, it's tough. It's tough to make that decision when you don't know what your target is, right? Be sure of your target and beyond, right? But obviously they weren't sure. If they knew that it was someone going to shoot Daddy Trump, I'm sure they would have taken him out ahead of time. There was just confusion. So I'm shocked that those were local law enforcement. That's odd. But really, I don't know anything about Secret Service. I know that they're supposed to protect the president. And interestingly enough, they're in charge of counterfeit money, which is so bizarre. I don't know if you know that or not. That's another one of the counterfeit money is in charge. The Secret Service has to fight that. So weird. Let's go back to this.
Use of force scale that when they see a threat, they are authorized to neutralize that threat. They don't have to ask for permission.
You excuse the roof
Marty
being
called
unmanned
me.
because of the slope.
That was a
Do you
good
stand by that
comment.
assertion?
The roof was not covered with an individual on it because there was overwatch provided.
Apparently not. No, there was no overwatch provided. This is very evident. President Trump was shot. A man died. There was no oversight.
There was
provided.
overwatch.
I find this rather maddening, especially now knowing that you do have answers from the FBI, who you have been passing the buck to this entire hearing,
sniper had
not
overwatch.
answering congressional hearing, members of Congress, while you are under oath and under a subpoena. I find it maddening that the director, that our country has come centimeters away from oblivion under your watch. You have answers. You are refusing to give those to us, directing us to the FBI. And this entire thing is a waste of time. You are responsible for the loss of a life and the shooting that took place on President Trump. You do need to resign. This is bipartisan. You need to be fired. You do not need to hold this position. You are not the best for this job. I am over my time, but I cannot tolerate your watch any longer. And I'm going to continue to call daily
Thanks for pulling up,
for you to
Bill.
be removed from your position, ma'am.
Chair recognizes Mr. Fry from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cheatle, how long have you been with the Secret Service? 29 years, right?
That's correct.
How long have you been director of the Secret Service?
Just under 2 years.
During your tenure as director under the Secret Service, I know we're here today to talk about the assassination attempt on President Trump, but how many other security lapses have occurred with protectees under your watch?
I don't have a specific number, but there have been some lapses.
There have been other lapses. Was one of them Jake Sullivan?
Yes, sir.
What happened there?
There was an individual who was able to access Mr. Sullivan's residence.
His residence. A protectee, somebody was able to break into his house. And what happened? Did anyone get fired because of that?
There were individuals who have been reassigned.
Reassigned. What other
Like a
steps are
Catholic
taken?
priest.
What I'm seeing, what other incidents have
Exactly.
occurred over the-
Thank you, man. That's beautiful, bro. God, that's good.
Was
Oh,
there
I'm
an
gonna
issue with
clip
the Secret Service agent and Vice President Harris?
I would not call that a security incident.
Well, it seems to me, I mean, you have security lapses with President Trump. You have security lapses with Jake Sullivan. You have issues with your personnel related to Vice President Kamala Harris. There seems to be a repeated theme here. Would you not agree with that?
I think that we are talking about separate categories of incidents.
I don't know if they get Secret
Well, I would
Service.
disagree
Dirk.
with that. I mean, I think there's a repeated theme when you've got
Good
protectees and
question,
you're not
She
upholding your
should.
core
She's
mission.
third
Let me
in
ask you
charge,
something else.
or she was.
Does the Secret Service routinely record communications between and amongst detail?
Radio communications,
Any communication?
email communications are captured, as well as text messages. And then depending on the detail, radio communications are recorded.
Does the Secret Service have recorded communications from the July 13th event?
We do not have
Depending
radio
on the
communications from that
detail?
day.
But you have text messages?
We do have emails and text messages.
Emails, okay, great. Does the head of the Trump detail or someone else embedded in this detail have command decision-making authority, or do they need to seek authorization from someone outside that detail?
The head of the detail has the decision-making authority for things that are necessary for that detail.
Is that standard for protection details?
Yes, it is.
Let me ask you something. During
Wha-
campaign events, is it common for the Secret
What?
Service to utilize other agencies?
Yes, it is.
What other agencies would be providing assistance to the Secret Service?
There are a number of other agencies that provide assistance to the Secret Service during campaigns. We utilize personnel from the Department of Homeland Security. We utilize personnel from the Department of Defense, and we utilize local law enforcement partners.
Are you on the same radios? Do you provide the radios to all the assets that are taking part in protection of an event?
We provide radios to the personnel from the Department of Homeland Security that are assisting us.
But not local law enforcement?
Local law enforcement is working on their own radios.
Are you on the same frequency?
We
No.
ensure that we have counterparts in the security room, and so the local law enforcement will place one of their personnel in the security room with our personnel so that we have interoperability communications.
Let me ask you something just about the timeline, because I think this is really interesting that we
You
can't
don't
nail
have
that down. I mean,
interoperable
I think there are lay
communication.
people out there with more knowledge about the timeline than you seem to come before a subpoena in front of Congress. Was Mr. Crooks observed at the AGR building prior to the shooting?
He was observed on the grounds outside of our perimeter prior to the shooting.
At approximately what time was that? You don't have to give me the specific minute, but at approximately what time was that?
I believe it was about 45 minutes or so prior to.
Did the sniper team take a photo of Mr. Crooks?
The local team did, yes,
So it was a local team and not a Secret Service sniper.
that took the photo.
Okay. And did he relay that photo to Central Command?
Again, it's an active ongoing investigation, so I want to make sure that I'm factual with the route that that photo took and who that was disseminated to and when.
What time did when did Mr. Crooks' status go from a suspicion, a person that was under suspicion, to a threat? When did that happen? And maybe not even a specific time, Director Cheatle. Maybe a certain event that happened that transformed him from a person of
After he
suspicion
shot.
to a threat. When did that happen?
That's just the truth.
To the best of my knowledge, based on what I've been told thus far.
Like,
it's
what are the
approximately 5
levels of
minutes to where,
classification? Suspicious,
individuals
threat,
relayed that
and then
there
like
was an
what?
incident being,
Destroy?
or
Like,
an
I wonder
issue,
how.
sorry,
After the
being
fact.
worked at the
What are
3
the
o'clock
ranking systems
of the
people?
president.
So
former
that was,
president.
but it was before the shots were
What's
fired.
the rating
That is correct,
scale?
but again, it was not phrased as a threat. It was just that something was being worked.
Yeah, but my question is, when did he become?
I mean, Sasquatch is
When did he
suspicious.
transform from suspicion to threat?
I don't think
Because
he's
they're
past.
treated very differently. People can be suspicious, but
He's
they're not a threat
borderline
until a certain
threat.
point in time. So when did that happen?
But what comes after
Am I
I
threat?
a
believe that it
threat?
was seconds
I'm a double
before
threat.
the gunfire started.
Seconds. My gosh, we actually have a few questions
I
that we
can
got answered
public
today.
speak
Listen,
and
I'm going
kind
to
of
wrap up here,
dance in a
Mr.
real
Chairman.
silly way.
But here's the frustration that people have. The buck stops with you. You've said that yourself. But the problem in Washington, D.C., it is the only town in America that you can be so bad at your job that you actually get a promotion or don't get fired. You have not been able to answer the number of
I gotta work
agents,
for the government.
whether or not requests were
That's what I
denied
should
on
do.
additional
Might
security,
have been the
whether or not
wrong
law enforcement
business.
were able to engage before the shooting with the assassin, how he got on the roof, how the rifle got on the roof. You can't tell us how many shots he fired, whether the casings were recovered. You can't tell us anything about his cell phone. You can't tell us whether the rally was supposed to be postponed, given the intelligence you were receiving. You can't tell us whether the car had a bomb. You can't even tell us his motive. And the American people are incredibly distrustful because it has taken 9 days to even get a scintilla of evidence out of you. Maybe if I was CNN or
people
ABC
worried
or
about his
NBC, I would
motives?
have gotten much more thorough and accurate information, but we have not received that in a subpoenaed hearing in front of this Congress. That is why the American people are frustrated. And I echo the bipartisan calls on this committee and all across this country that you should resign, or maybe when the president wakes up from his nap, he can fire you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Luna from Florida.
Director
Not-
Cheatle, can you please give me the names of the
I like
individuals
that.
who are in charge of your conduct for the rally?
I'm not going to release names.
Can you give me the
today.
titles? And how many individuals?
No,
Nothing?
we had a full advance team that was responsible
Who
for
are the,
advancing
how
the
many people are
site.
the final approval authority?
There are a number of people
Can you
that
give me a
are
number?
engaged in approving
Can you
the
give me
plan.
a number?
No, I do not have
Okay.
a firm number.
Can you just confirm whether or not, I understand this is an open investigation, but in order to dispel conspiracy theories, have you guys been able to subpoena the shooter's Discord records? Or
Who's
has the
this
FBI,
woman?
to your knowledge?
Hold up.
I believe
Sasquatch.
Smash.
Mayo Monkey. Everyone's over
Super
here talking
smash.
about MTG. Everyone's over here talking about Bobert. Everyone's
Super
over talking
smash.
about AOC, and then a one Mrs. Luna slides in.
I would smash with you.
Bro,
Like, she's
This is-
fine.
this is a usurper. Where has she been all of your life? I'm sure this is something. I don't know who this is. Hopefully, she doesn't
Anna-
join the squad. Have you heard of her?
Anna Paulina Luna. She is out of Tampa, Florida, and Clearwater, Florida, and she
Mhm.
is a
Damn
Republican.
right she is. She started
Republican.
one. Oh my God. Tommy Mommy forever. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah.
Yes, please. Thank you, ma'am. May I have another?
All right. Well, let's see what she has to say. You know,
She
at
can
this
grill
point,
me anytime.
at this point, it's just like they're all just beating her up. I would be more impressed if instead of beating her up, like I've said before, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Airplane. Remember when the movie the woman's hysterical and they all line up to beat her? Like
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's kind of like what's happening here. But honestly, I'd be more impressed if someone could finagle an answer out of her other than just saying how appalled and how they need to resign with such emotion. Like, yeah, we get it. You know, and the other woman was cussing earlier. I don't know if you guys are here for that. She was literally cussing. I was like, that's a bit much, honestly.
Dude,
What's up?
while she was enlisted in the U.S. Air Force, she appeared in Sports Illustrated's Friday PM's Hot Chicks and briefly worked as a cocktail waitress at a gentleman's strip club in Fort Walton Beach.
And now
I bet
she's in
she was so-
Congress. That's disgraceful.
Dude,
Yeah.
I bet that
She
girl's so
later
smart.
appeared
she'll
as a
trip
hometown
you up.
hottie from Fort Walton Beach.
Oh my God! All right, put the links in the private chat. I mean,
Can
this
she
is
dance
horrible.
and sing too? Yeah, I need to verify that. Can she dance and sing too? I need to verify those facts. Put that link in private chat.
Put the
I don't
link in the
believe it.
private. I'll review
Bring
it,
me
and
receipts.
maybe I'll put it on the show. I am trying to be
Oh,
more
and
professional.
you'll love the picture too. I'll put it in the back.
All right, thanks. Let's go. I mean, it's kind of a sad state of affairs. That's what it takes. I mean, look at Kamala Harris. You just have to, I guess, to get ahead, you have to be sexual. What's up, Juan? You want to come in?
To get ahead, you got to give what?
Exactly. That's Kamala Harris, your next president. So, you know, more on that later. Just be prepared for that. Make sure everyone votes. Don't just think we have this one in the bag because, You know, Kamala's going to ignite a lot of people, man. There's a lot of people out there happy about this Kamala situation. Anyways, let's get back to it. Let's see how this woman sold her sexuality all the way to Congress. Disgraceful. Let's go.
That the FBI is working on those.
Okay. Is it factual to say that you have not ruled out that the shooter was working with other people or persons?
Again, the FBI is conducting the criminal investigation into
Can
the
you,
shooter.
at least in an effort to dispel conspiracy theories, can you confirm or deny that?
At this time, we do not have that there were any other people engaged.
So you believe he's acting alone?
I do.
Okay. Have you been made aware of multiple eyewitness reporting that there was a second shooter on a water tower?
I do not have any information related to any second shooter.
Okay. The reason I asked that is because according to testimony from multiple witnesses, they did report that. And again, to my understanding, there were over 40 sniper teams that were briefed by the Butler ESU. And I want to make sure that people are aware, if you're saying that there's not another shooter, that we are able to clear that information, because from this whole entire briefing, it doesn't seem like much information has been able to get out to the American people. So I'm trying to dispel rumors, as I'm sure you understand. Was it true that Secret Service was present at the Butler ESU briefing?
There was a briefing between.
All right, everybody. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. I'm sorry I have to do this. We have to do it. We have to do it. Former stripper Anna Paulina Luna, mayor offer. So she used to be what, German? Is anyone there? Can you hear me?
No, I think she was married, sir.
Sorry, I had to wipe my mouth for a second.
Former stripper Anna Paulina Luna, wherever it says mayor offer, to join DC Drano for TPUSA Pepper. I don't know what all this stuff is. There she is.
Turning Point USA.
Thank you. Former stripper congressional candidate Anna Paulina Luna prepared to join. It's just, so she's in Congress now? I guess so. Otherwise, she wouldn't be asking questions, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is horrible. This is horrible.
God bless America. I mean, where you can go from dancing on tables to sitting in Congress, you can go from bartending to sitting in Congress. I mean, God bless America. That is the American dream, right?
This puts women back 50 years, bro. I mean, it really does. Like,
As long as she's backing up, I don't care.
Dude, I'm supposed to take you seriously now that I see you all bent over with your ass up and your titties hanging out? Like, I don't. Don't even.
She's carrying a pistol, bro. You need to take her seriously no matter how fine she is.
I'll never take this woman seriously, right? Look at her. Oh, look at me. I'm serious. I'm serious. Do you recognize me now, even though my ass and titties aren't hanging out? Like, no.
Sir, she can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never let you forget you're a man.
Bro.
And serve it up to you with a beer.
Look at this. Yeah. Okay, lawyer chick. Yeah, I'm sure you'd be happy if this woman at your law firm comes out and puts her titties and ass out and gets the promotion ahead of you. Would you still be feeling the same, lawyer chick? We all know the answer to that.
She'd go down better.
Stop it. Stop it, lawyer chick. You're not going to put up with this stuff. You're not going to put up with this. She had a job. Now she has a different job. Yeah, no. Some jobs you just can't. That's a non-transferable skill. I don't appreciate that, right? She can go work in the CIA. She can go seduce Putin and slang her cooch, right? She can be a honey trap. I'm down with that. But no, I'm not going to take her seriously. Look at it. Look at me. I'm serious now. I have my serious face, and I have this respectable top that has a plunging neckline, which is not respectable, and a heart. Look, she's got her slut heart. What do you think she has inside that locket in there? Probably a picture of her first boyfriend who she loves.
The tears of social justice warriors she's crushed in Congress before.
I hate this woman. Let's go.
The hearts of many men are contained in that locket, sir.
He means that little men. You're muted, brother.
Who, me?
Yeah.
The video's silent.
Their hearts are in the locket, and their souls have been ground under her feet.
Yes.
All right, hold on. What's going? Okay, something's me. Hold on. I need to address lawyer chick. Lawyer chick's out here. She thinks she knows something, and she doesn't. She doesn't. Okay. She's up here. She had a job. Blah blah blah. Lies. Sexiness doesn't intimidate you. If she's a good lawyer, what if she's not a good lawyer, lawyer chick, and she just slings her ass and her cooch and she
It
gets a
depends.
promotion.
If she
That's
swings her
the
ass
whole point.
to the
Okay.
right places to get you off, then she's a great lawyer.
No.
I mean, it doesn't matter how you get the defense, you get the win. You get the win.
Look, maybe she should go get a job for Donald Trump. That seems to be more her wheelhouse, right? Just slinging her cooch. She can go compete with what's her face, Alina Abba. Yeah, who's hotter, Alina Abba or her? I mean, that's a $1 million question, right? But just Lionel, just bring back, make ugly great again, right? Who was that stupid liberal wannabe president woman? It always sounds like she's going to cry and she's kind of fat. What's her name? God damn it. Who knows her name? Who knows what I'm talking about? Her name is
Hillary.
Amy freaking Klobuchar. That's the kind of look I want on political women, right? Non-sexually intimidating, just kind of rather not ugly. Klobuchar's not ugly, but she is rather plain, right? She's plain. Yeah, we don't need Katie Porter up here blasting out threesomes. Oh, look at me.
Thank you, Freeside.
Katie Porter is like, I'm the first bisexual congresswoman. How did that go? She got in some threesome tryst with her stupid poly relationship. No. It should be like, to be a president or to be in Congress, you have to be married for more than 10 years and at least 35. Like, can we have some stability, right? You can't be in a stupid throuple, idiots. Stop it. Can we have some stability? 10 years married at least. I mean, and you must have a freaking dog and not a stupid dog. I mean, we've got to have some freaking standards, okay? We've got to have some.
Did you say that the run for Congress you have to have a dog?
Yes. Katie
The problem
Hill.
is,
thank you, Jonathan
that's
Earl.
the only part of that I have a particular issue with. Not everybody's a dog people, but I do
People that
agree.
are not dog people shouldn't not like they no. Just go away, bro.
I will agree
Everybody
with that.
knows
People that
that
don't
having
like
a
dogs
puppy
is an
immunizes
immediate,
you from
like,
sadism.
why do you not like dogs? No. Like, bro, I like dogs and I like cats. I'm ambidextrous, okay? I can go with both. And preferably in the same
You're
freaking
by
household.
animal.
Yes, I'm
You're bi
bi-animal.
animal.
I'm pan-animal. Bro, but I'm no on snakes, no reptiles. Gross. Gross. I don't want a chameleon. Don't show me your reticulated Burmese albino. Shut up. It's gross, right? You need to have a dog. You need to be married. And can you not be a freaking stripper? Am I asking for too much? And on that note, we still haven't figured out, can someone in my millions of fans and millions of producers and research people, this Kimberly Cheatle, I mean, was she on the softball team? What's going on here? You know what I'm saying. Anyways, yeah, it's just gross. It's just gross that we have these honeypots. It's like it's like Amber Rose. Like, we need to bring back slut shaming, right? Don't let the sluts come and assimilate. We don't have to hold it against them, but we just have to keep them down, right? Don't let them get too high. Just keep them low. Don't let them just overcome their slut ways. You're not a born again virgin. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, sorry. Does anyone have anything to say? No, that's fine. Let me get back onto it. Let's get back onto it. And this woman, like, she needs a man. This Kimberly Cheatle needs a freaking man to talk to when she lays on the couch. Or, I mean, at least a lesbian lover, right? She needs a spouse. She needs someone to confide in. She needs someone to talk to. That's why she's such an abject failure, in my opinion. Let's get back to it. I'm going to try to share this. Can you see that or not? Is that good?
I can
Yes,
see
sir.
it, but I can't hear it.
You can't hear it.
Yes, sir.
Freaking odd. Why is that?
I do not know.
Show the picture again. Okay, all right. Well, hold on. Let's show
Check.
the picture.
Hold on. Check and see whether or not the tab is muted.
No, they want. Yeah, okay. All right. They want to see the slut again. Here we go. Here she is. Look at me. Look. This is where my poop comes out. Here's my boobs. Look at me. I've been doing yoga, hot yoga, 6 a.m, and I know how to use Photoshop. Look at me. This is what we're voting for. That's what I'm saying, man. Make ugly great again, right? It's Muga. Make ugly great again. I want my politicians to look like that 164th% Indian, what's her face? Plain and ugly. Amy Klobuchar, not necessarily ugly, but plain. About as hot as I wanted to get is Hillary Clinton, right? Hillary Clinton was a hottie, right? Even Kamala Harris is a little bit too attractive, quite frankly. For a 60-year-old woman, she's very attractive. That's a fact. I don't want just like, oh, look at me. Look at me. I'm bent over. I can represent you. This woman has no idea what it's like to be an incel loser stuck in your mom's basement like me, right? She's out here slinging her cooch. She's out here shaking her tits, getting motorboated by any type of donor that comes along, right? You know what I'm talking about. And this woman's supposed to understand what it's like to walk in my shoes? Like, never. This woman doesn't even understand real planetary human existence because she's just a piece of ass, right? And do I want this to represent me? No, not at all. No way. All right, so that's what's up. So let's try to go back. I'm losing all my... Yeah, okay, this is bad content. No one's watching. Okay, sorry. Let's share this tab instead. All right, are you still there, Sasquatch?
Yeah, I had some stuff going on in chat.
All right, tell me if you can hear this. Can you hear that?
No, sir.
Jesus fucking Christ.
You might have to drop out and pop back in.
That's kind of disturbing. All right, how about now? You hear that?
No, sir.
No?
No. Does anyone else hear it?
That's a damn shame. All right, well, let's try now. Can you hear it now? Yes or no?
No, sir.
All right, let's get rid of this. See, like, even I went to this former stripper, right? Even something about that page, man, it just ruined it. It just ruined it. Just like it ruins American politics. Just like it ruins anything, man. It ruins everything. Let's get back to it. Let's see if I can pull this back up. Let's get into it, and we're going to go back to this former stripper talking. Let's go to Secret Service. Here we go. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see where we're at, and here we go. Let's go to Fox News. JD Vance, he has like those Muslim terrorist eyeliner eyes, right? Yes or no? You know what I'm talking about? Doesn't it look like he wears mascara around his eyes?
Who?
JD Vance. You know, like when you see like a Muslim terrorist in movies?
I imagine, I had to guess. I would assume that he was an old goth kid, right? And
Yeah.
it's just over from then.
It looks like it, man. It looks like it. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, are we sharing? All right, wish me luck, people. Here we go. Let's try. Let's go.
The assets that are at the former president's
Yes
residence
or no?
and
Yes.
supplied
Lovely.
to his detail.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just ask for one more indulgence. It is clear you have not been to Butler, Pennsylvania. Leaders lead and should be on the ground. You have not been there. Instead, you went to the RNC.
Damn.
But you weren't originally even going to go there. Where were you originally
Where's the
scheduled to
hottie
go
at?
besides the RNC, a national special security event?
Can't even find her.
I was always scheduled to go.
I'm
to
sorry,
the-
I'm not at my usual
Mr. Chairman,
spot.
I would
I'm
like
in
to
my
enter into the record
quarantine
that the
area.
director was scheduled to go to Aspen, hobnobbing around.
Ah.
I don't know what liberal elites go to Aspen. That was where you were originally scheduled to go to speak at a forum.
I was scheduled to go to the RNC. I was going to leave the RNC for 24 hours and return back to the RNC.
She was going to Aspen.
I hope, as your predecessor, Julie Pearson, with a security incident on the White House and under the Obama administration and Reagan's Secret Service detail lead, I would hope you would have the dignity for the sake of the agents in the service to resign.
Gentleman's time's expired.
Thank you.
I'd like to enter a few things into the record. First of all, the remaining articles that Mr. Biggs was wanting to enter into the record without objection, so ordered. Next, I have a written statement from Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania.
I don't like this
His
stream because
district,
they don't show the
include.
Or sorry, I don't like the stream because they're only showing her and they're not showing the people asking the questions. So sorry, we're gonna have to find a better stream. That was Fox News, but let's find let's get to it, man. Let's find what was I watching before? Is it ABC?
Should be on one of the C-SPANs or whatever.
C-SPAN or AP maybe.
Um,
Yeah, let's try this instead.
I want to thank the director
Can
for
you
your
hear that and
testimony
see that?
today. I now yield to the ranking member for closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, here we go.
and Director
Let's get back to the
not in
hottie.
attendance at the security briefing, according to individuals with knowledge. To also include
I'll be right back.
that
I got to
the
get some water.
AGR
Hold on.
building where the shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was located was actually not a part of their security perimeter for that. So there was not Secret Service present. It seems as though that when you were asked earlier from Rep. Krishnamurthy about whether or not Secret Service was aware of a threat, you had said no, they were unaware of a threat. And yet, according to communications, again, from law enforcement that were in some of these group chats, they actually had reported that Secret Service was made aware of a threat at around 5:50 p.m. as a part of the command, including Secret Service, aware of messages and requests about information about the suspect's location. Can you please tell me if you have knowledge of that at all?
Again, I think we're conflating the difference between the term threat and suspicious.
But you guys did have knowledge at 5:59 p.m. according to those group chats, did you not?
Of a suspicious individual.
Okay. Chairman, in my opinion, according to some of the testimony today, I feel that you have perjured yourself in some instances. And so I'm going to ask for a full review of the transcripts by staff. And if you find that to be the case, I do ask that you bring perjury charges against the director. I will say this, it is very frustrating to my colleagues, and we've said it to your face, that you have been up here basically stonewalling our ability to get the answers to the American people. And what I will also say is that every single member of Congress does not feel safe with you in charge. You have heard that. And I think that we are all sitting ducks with you in directing the Secret Service currently. But more importantly, it sends a message to our adversaries that we are not protected. And we are one of the strongest countries in the world. So you have essentially made us a less safe country because of it. As a result of that, I'm asking you to formally step down. I share my same opinions as my Democrat colleagues. And I also think that your efforts to bring forward a full investigation and report in 60 days is unacceptable. And as a result of that, I'm going to do everything in my legislative toolkit to ensure that that happens sooner rather than later. And I'm sure that you know that we brought a vote on inherent contempt against Garland for essentially blocking a congressional investigation. And I don't think that you should be any different. So I will say that I am just completely disgusted by your performance today. And I understand that you're probably in a position where you're being told not to testify, which is why we had to subpoena you. I think that goes back to Garland. But again, that is part of the flushing that we need to get out of Washington. And I would be happy to assist in that process. Chairman, I yield the rest of my time.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Langworthy from New York.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Mr.
can I have a
Chairman.
second?
I appreciate
Real
you
quick.
bringing
Yeah, hold
this
on. I just got back.
hearing
Hold on.
forward with subpoena. Director.
Go for it, my dude.
Now, who says that the Republicans are not inclusive of women in their party? This is a former
I include
stripper.
women in everything. I include them in dinner and lunch and breakfast. I include them in the bedroom. I include them when they're sitting in the back seat and I'm driving.
But I mean, she's an example of what Democrats say the Republicans hate. A former
That's true.
stripper who's now a Republican congresswoman.
American dream, baby.
I mean,
Bro, it's horrible, man. I don't like this, man. I don't like these just like sex pots. Look, if you're a sex pot, fine. You know, okay. You were hot. You were slinging your cooch a little bit in photos or otherwise. Okay. But please don't make me sit up here and pretend to respect you, man. It's insane. It's insane.
all right, Barnabas. What if you looked like her? What would you be doing right now? Where would you be?
OnlyFans and staring in the mirror.
You'd be in a multi-million-dollar mansion with some rich simp husband
Hopefully, sure.
whipping him every night.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, you know, if he's into that kind of thing, who am I to judge? Safe word is
but I wouldn't be in Congress. I mean, come on, man. I don't, you know, Maybe I'm just an incel. Maybe I'm just a hater. Maybe I'm just jealous that it's like, oh, look, she has it so easy. She's got a cooch that she bends over.
Yeah, I think you're
and-
jealous, sir. I think it's jealousy, sir.
It could be. All right, but it's just a little odd, man. It's a little odd.
Fact is, she would have more subscribers than you in 27 minutes if she started a YouTube tomorrow, and you know it, and that makes you angry. So what you've got to do is be more dynamic and more engaging. So let's get to it.
All right, let's get to it. Let's be dynamic and engaging. Thank you. Let's get back to her.
Was it true that Secret Service was present at the Butler ESU briefing?
There was a
Like that
briefing
look of her
between
face.
the,
I just want to be
counter
like, don't look at
sniper
me like
teams
that.
Was
that we're working
Secret
on the
Service
ground.
present?
I'm supposed to take you
Yes, to my
serious now?
knowledge.
Okay, I want to
I've
read
seen you bent
report
over.
from people that seem to be throwing you under the bus and stated that they were in attendance and that Secret Service was
What is that
not
pin
in
on her-
attendance
on
at the
her
security briefing, according to
jacket?
individuals with knowledge. To also include that the AGR building where the shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was located was actually not a part of their security perimeter for that. So there was not Secret Service present. It seems as though that when
that
you
a
were asked
question?
earlier from Rep. Krishnamurthy about whether or not Secret Service was aware of a
Is she just like the Republicans' answer to AOC, I guess? She's just reading some questions that someone smarter than her wrote. I mean, I don't know. Can I ask why it's changed to insults of women? I'll tell you why. Because I don't respect women like this that are out here.
Sir, that's a veteran you're talking about.
This woman, I don't care,
Yes.
man. I don't care. Sorry. Is she out here winning the Medal of Honor with the Purple Heart and all that shit? No.
Sir, it doesn't matter. She did her job.
Bro.
Honorable discharge.
Bro.
Do you have an honorable discharge?
I don't even have a enlistment charge.
Okay,
So,
well, yeah,
Discharge
that was a
you
good
have
shot,
on
though.
your foot, sir.
dude, stop it, man. That does
your vote
like
for
this isn't like
Congress,
Rambo rules. Like Rambo went and
This is
shot
actually-
up a town. Rambo went and shot a town and a sheriff, and they're like, "Oh, he was a veteran. Let's give him a lesser charge, bro."
No,
that
no.
doesn't exist. Okay, she's
This
out here
type of
bent
law-
over with her cooch and her titties hanging out, and I don't respect that. That's why broken fish. That's why.
This is one of the reasons why I suspect Barney might be a paid shill from somewhere, because he has these weird, like it's like he thinks they're conservative concepts, but in reality, they're just really strange. Like, I don't see how you get from someone who, you know, women and all of that, but then the second they're in Congress, it becomes the second they're beautiful. It's not Congress. There are ugly women in Congress you have no problem with. It's beautiful women that you have a problem with. Does this say more about you or us?
Listen,
He doesn't have access to them,
listen,
and he knows it.
listen. Do we really want women to be bent over,
Vote for
showing their
me.
butt?
Yeah,
What's
kind
up,
of.
Bill? What's up, Bill? Tell me,
Yes.
what do you got to say? Go
I've
for
heard.
it.
I enjoy that.
We're really turning into idiocracy. We're just going to vote for women with the biggest tits now. I mean, that's what it's coming to.
She doesn't
I
seem to have
didn't
big
say that,
tits.
sir. I didn't say anything about voting.
We just got to get right behind her. That's all.
I don't like this, man. I don't like this atmosphere. You know,
We all know you don't like beautiful women, Barney. You can
Not
move
true.
on.
bro, you don't like this. I'll tell you the truth. You don't like it, but I'll tell you the truth. One of the finest women in Congress is Ilhan Omar, face-wise. She has the prettiest face. She really does. Let's look up a picture.
Women
of
only
Ilhan
count
Omar.
if they actually have hair, sir.
Bro,
I'm
she
sorry.
may or may not have hair. She's respecting her religion, but she is freaking beautiful.
Pass.
You're stupid, man. You're stupid. You're lying to yourself. She is an absolute smoke show. She has the most
See,
beautiful
this
face.
is
in
another one of
Congress.
those topics. This is what I mean by saying I don't understand where he comes from at all. I thought I did for a second, and I was
He has
wrong.
all
and he
the praise
was. It's
for
really
the
weird.
beautiful
I don't
left
get it.
woman.
Look, what? Listen.
Yes. He doesn't like beautiful women unless they're specific. You got it. You nailed it, dude.
From the left, yeah. He loves AOC. Loves her to death.
I don't like AOC. I hate AOC. What are you talking about? I hate AOC.
What do you think she's on?
AOC. I mean, listen. Okay, let's talk about AOC. AOC is pretty. She is. but she's not out here selling. She's not a stripper. Is it too much to ask? I don't want congressmen to be strippers. I mean, come
what's
on.
a female bartender, sir? What's a female bartender?
Bro, she's out. We saw the pictures. Okay, do we need to bring up the picture again? Do we need to bring up the
Do
picture
you need
again?
to bring up the pictures of AOC?
There's no pictures of AOC like this.
With the shorts?
Okay, bring them up. I hate AOC, but at least she's not like some former stripper, cooch model. Don't say I don't like beautiful women. Ilhan Omar is beautiful. Look at her.
Hard left.
Look at this picture right here. Look at her face. Look how elegant she is. She's like got that thin type of femininity, elegance to her.
She looked like Tupac Shakur's little brother.
She's got great skin. She's very attractive, right? Yeah, she's like Somali. She's got Somali features, so maybe some people aren't down with that. But whatever. But she's pretty, man. You can't say she's not pretty. Just because she's not out here with some wig or whatever.
That woman needs to eat more biscuits and gravy is all I'm saying.
Look, thin for the win, bro. Thin for the win, okay?
Needs like some waffles and you know what I'm saying? Like she needs a good sit down breakfast.
Dude, listen, man, I just don't want my boss or my congressman or my school teachers to be freaking strippers, man. I don't see why that's so like why.
But I was young and needed the money.
I don't know what to say. Are we done with this one yet? I mean,
we could move on.
It's not that I'm against pretty women. It's not that I'm against. All right, let me get on to it. Let me get back to it. Let's get back to it. Let's go. Let's get back on track. Let's get back on this. Here we go. Boom. Let's go. Can y'all hear that?
Said no, they were unaware of a threat.
Yeah.
Yet, according to communications, again, from law enforcement that were in some of these group chats, they actually had reported that Secret Service was made aware of a threat at around 5:59 p.m. as a part of the command, including Secret Service, aware of messages and requests about information about the suspect's location. Can you please tell me if you have knowledge of that at all?
Again, I think we're conflating the difference between the term threat and suspicious.
But you guys did have knowledge at 5:59 p.m. according to those group chats, did you not?
Of a suspicious individual.
Okay. Chairman, in my opinion, according to some of the testimony today, I feel that you have perjured yourself in some instances. And so I'm going to ask for a full review of the transcripts by staff. And if you find that to be the case, I do ask that you bring perjury charges against the director. I will say this, it is very frustrating, and I've talked to my colleagues and we've said it to your face, that you have been up here basically stonewalling our ability to get the answers to the American people. And what I will also say is that every single member of Congress does not feel safe with you in charge. You have heard that. And I think that we are all sitting ducks with you in directing the Secret Service currently. But more importantly, it sends a message to our adversaries that we are not protected. And we are one of the strongest countries in the world. So you have essentially made us a less safe country because of it. As a result of that, I'm asking you to formally step down. I share my same opinions as my Democrat colleagues. And I also think that your efforts to bring forward a full investigation and report in 60 days is unacceptable. And as a result of that, I'm going to do everything in my legislative toolkit to ensure that that happens sooner rather than later. And I'm sure that you know that we brought a vote on inherent contempt against Garland for essentially blocking a congressional investigation. And I don't think that you should be any different. So I will say that I am just completely disgusted by your performance today. And I understand that you're probably in a position where you're being told not to testify, which is why we had to subpoena you. I think that goes back to Garland. But again, that is part of the flushing that we need to get out of Washington, and I would be happy to assist in that process. Chairman, I yield the rest of my time.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Langworthy from New York.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you bringing this hearing forward with subpoena. Director, yesterday I made the decision to get my car and drive to Butler, Pennsylvania in preparation for this moment and asking you questions about the events of the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. I've done several presidential events in prior in my career, and I wanted to see this site with my own two eyes because I don't believe the video footage tells the whole story or looking at things on a diagram. And I was absolutely appalled when I went to the site, when I saw the fact that I could have stood on the roof of that building, the AGR building, and hit that podium with a 9-iron, and I'm a lousy golfer. And the fact that that was not included in the perimeter is a complete dereliction of the duty of the U.S. Secret Service. I mean, there are very few rooftops that needed to be secured. And the fact that Secret Service, as they were putting a site plan in place, did not think it was necessary to man those rooftops, you have completely
Exactly.
your duties. You had one job, and that's to protect the future president of the United States, or to protect all of the other protectees. And President Trump is only here today by God's grace, because he had
Amen.
just something in him that made him turn his head just slightly.
Amen.
Or we would be in a
It was
national
that,
period
those
of
immigrants that damn Biden's letting in.
and you have done nothing here today. I've rewritten these questions like 4 times during your hearing, and you haven't answered a damn one of them.
Ain't that the
You haven't
truth?
given any information. You have hidden behind this FBI investigation, and I think you should be
Yep.
ashamed of yourself.
Shame.
Because you have brought more shame to your agency than I think that the assassination attempt has at this point. This is literally the worst performance I have ever seen in front of a congressional hearing. You have offered no reason for this committee, this body, or the American people to trust you or the Secret Service today. And you should resign. You have said that you've put new security measures in place after the assassination attempt. Can you tell us what those are?
Well, she shouldn't tell it.
Because the American people want to know
Now
that you're
potential
taking real corrective
assassinators are
measures.
going to like
But
know
today
what it
you've
is, right?
pointed to an
In her
investigation.
defense.
Investigation or not, you still have a job to do with a zero-fail mission. But so far, there's been absolutely no accountability, and you've admitted that here today. Not one person's been suspended. Not one person's been put on a desk. Meanwhile, we've got the most contentious of elections in our nation's history, and protectees are in danger because of incompetent leadership. Not the agents. The agents piled on President Trump to protect his life. Those are heroes. But the administrators running your agency, they're
Except
not.
for the one that hid behind him.
They're not doing their job.
The woman.
And you certainly aren't doing it.
Lol.
The most appalling part of Saturday's events is the
What's
countless
up, Dennis?
opportunities
What's
that
up,
Secret
old
Service
guy,
had to
65,
stop Crooks
Mitch
before he even got on the
DAT.
roof. At 3 o'clock, Crooks raised suspicion by entering the rally with a rangefinder. At 5:45, a cop with a Beaver County Emergency Services unit saw Crooks eyeballing the roof at the AGR International Building. And then at 5:55,
Can you turn it up a
Secret
little bit?
Service was warned of a suspicious person
Yeah,
and identifies Crooks
right.
as a threat. This was all before shots were fired 15 minutes later. Director, yes or no, did local law enforcement alert the Secret Service about Crooks' presence at the rally?
Yes, they did.
I think that's as loud as it gets.
The shooter came to attention of law enforcement almost an
No.
hour before President
That
Trump came
louder?
on stage. Law enforcement alerted
Yes.
the Secret Service
Yes.
to the shooter.
That's good.
Over and over,
Thank
you've said there's a difference between a suspicious individual and a threatening individual. Can you explain what the shooter needed to exemplify to be called a threat?
So I'm not clear as to what identified him as suspicious to the individuals who originally clarified him that way. For the Secret Service, for an individual to be determined to be a threat, that
Dude.
individual would have to be seen
What
with
was
a
that?
weapon or capable of doing some sort of harm to our protectees.
I mean, Director, an individual walking into a rally with a rangefinder, scoping out an unprotected rooftop, and he reportedly flew a drone over hours before. It sounds like a lot more than suspicious, especially at a presidential rally. Your operational lapses, your resource management, and poor judgment nearly resulted in the assassination of President
Dude's
Trump.
big mad.
I mean, the dereliction of duty here is just appalling. The fact that you haven't visited Butler is just
She hasn't been
maddening
back.
to me.
You hear that, guys?
You're not taking this job seriously. Many people here have called for your resignation. I've introduced a resolution here into this body that hopefully will get a vote this week, calling on the president to fire you, ma'am. You have not done your job.
She will be the
You have
first
put
person
two
fired by
black eyes on your
Biden
agency,
administration ever.
and you need to go. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes Mr. Burleson from Missouri.
Hey, Nayakis, I'm sorry about
Director
the feedback.
Cheatle,
I'm not in my usual
I just
spot. That's
wanna-
why my sound isn't.
And
as
every
good.
other Secret Service director that had an incident like this resigned
because
themselves.
outside of what the FBI was responsible.
Yeah, they resigned after Reagan. I know that much. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not in my usual setup. My equipment's not the same here, but I'll do the best I can. And welcome back, Bill.
I'm not sure what you did a minute ago. I think you unplugged your earphones or something. That was very loud. I don't know what you did, but it was like a diesel engine running over my face. It was loud.
Oh, is it okay now, or what is it?
It's fine now. You're fine now. It was just when you were fiddling with it. It was.
Yeah, I'm trying to I keep talking, dude.
That's it. That's what did it. That's bad. That's a bad thing. Whatever that was.
Oh, is it okay
That's
now?
a not doing that again thing type stuff.
Or
is that okay?
You have full responsibility. for
Fine.
the
You're
Department
fine now.
Of Secret Service. So the question is, what is the mission? What is your who defines the mission?
Our mission of the Secret Service is to protect the president, the vice president, their immediate families, presidential candidates, the former presidents, and those by executive order. And we also have an investigative mission.
And those are well defined.
Yes, they
Everyone within the agency understands the mission.
Yes, they do.
What about protocols and standards? Who defines the protocols and standards?
We have a number of protocols and policies in place for the various missions that we have.
So would it be safe to say that you failed the mission, the ultimate mission?
I have stated repeatedly here today that there was a failure.
What about specific failures within protocols and guidelines within the agency?
Again, I am
That's her.
certain that the investigation that is being conducted internally as well as the external investigation.
You said earlier in the hearing that there was either a communication, there's errors in communication or in operations. Could it be both? In both errors in operational decisions and errors in communications?
I think the investigation potentially could identify both.
So I want to talk about communications. Representative Boebert asked earlier about using encrypted apps that you said you have not used, I guess, Signal. Have you used any encrypted app to communicate from your personal device?
I do on occasion use encrypted apps to communicate.
So you use some form of an encrypted app to communicate with people within the federal government, with local law enforcement? Whom are you communicating using encrypted apps?
Many times it's with colleagues and associates.
So you're communicating with colleagues on a personal device?
There are times that the Secret Service, when we work internationally with some of our partners, that they don't have the same texting capability.
And you're not able to do that with your government issued device?
Recently, we have been able to install some of those apps on government devices.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the things that we can get access to. I'm actually shocked that you are using your personal device and encrypted communication tools. I think that might be the most shocking thing that I've heard today. I didn't expect for you to say that. This committee has requested multiple documents. And this is not, under the purview of the FBI, this is under your purview. We requested a complete list of all law enforcement personnel, including Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, local law enforcement with the roles in protecting the president. And we requested that for us to receive that by July 18th. Did you provide that?
I believe that our agency is in the process of collecting all documents.
So you have not provided it. How long does it take to determine who the personnel were that were on site?
We are collecting a comprehensive list of all the documents that have been requested.
We also requested all the audio and video recordings that
I'll bet
your agency,
payroll
not
already
the
knows who was
FBI,
on site.
your agency has in possession.
Right?
What's up?
You just ask payroll. Payroll will tell you where everybody was at.
Oh,
what time they got there, when they left, what they did while they were there.
Yep.
What
per diem they got paid.
Yep. And where they stayed that night, what they had for breakfast, it's all right there in front of them. Just ask payroll.
What they're asking about is what she talked through. Is this what? They want to subpoena all of her phone conversations, I guess, and then what? I guess I mean, I guess communication is the problem, right? So they're trying to figure out where the breakdown is since she's not talking. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, part of the issue is apparently there's a lot of information that has gone public that wasn't supposed to go public, and they're asking questions directly about this information that was unofficially leaked somehow. And so they're questioning if possibly this encrypted network they're using with their personal devices might not be part of that leak that we have.
Well, and also, you're not supposed to be using your personal devices for government work.
Oh yeah,
Period. Especially encrypted shit.
that's like Hillary Clinton, right? Hillary Clinton private email nonsense or whatever.
Basically,
Yep.
She purchased her own server though. That's a little different. Yeah, it's
That's next level shit.
different.
All right, let's get back to this.
Question related to the event. Did we receive those? Have you provided those at all?
We are in the process of collecting all documentation requested.
You're in the process, but you have not. Any memorandums or any internal communications related to the event? We requested that you provide that. Have you provided any of that?
We are in the process of collecting the information that has been requested.
Okay. So when can we expect to receive these documents?
That's a good question.
How long does it take to determine who was
When's
on
the next
site,
hearing?
who was being employed to be there to protect the former president? When can we expect that? How many days does it take to provide that information?
We want to make sure that we have a comprehensive accounting of all of the documents that were engaged in that day, and we will make them available as soon as possible.
I think transparency is the key here. It's shocking to me that we are communicating in a encrypted app to colleagues. I'm almost certain that violates some federal laws.
I would like to clarify, you didn't ask me whether my communications were government work related or whether they were personally related.
You're communicating
I
with
don't
colleagues.
Doesn't matter if they're to another government person.
Government business with colleagues on a personal device. I communicate on my work device.
Are you using an encrypted device on your work device?
I am not.
No encrypted apps.
No, I do not.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But you literally just
They recognize
said
Mr. Waltz from Florida.
that she can install these apps on her government phone.
How? Yeah, right. How would she know if she didn't?
She just said she installed encrypted apps on her phone that she previously used on her private device.
Look at how
This bitch has perjured herself several times.
Look at how she's all alone. Poor thing. Like she doesn't even have like a little assistant sitting next to her. Nothing. Right. It's just like a whole room of people that want to show off and take a bite of her ass.
All right. And now she knows maybe a little bit how Trump felt that day standing on that stage.
That's good, dude. I like that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Director, please.
What is this?
I'd like to direct your attention to this video.
Oh, yeah, the video.
And I sincerely appreciate the clarity on this.
Can we turn up the volume, staff?
I just want to ask you, because this has popped up. Republican Congressman Mike Walz, he said on social media on Saturday, and I'm going to read this for you because it does talk about you, Secretary. I have very reliable sources telling me that there have been repeated requests for stronger Secret Service protection for President Trump denied by Secretary Mayorkas. Your department has already pushed back on that, calling that absolutely false, but he is putting this on you. Can you respond to that, please?
Well, that's a baseless and irresponsible statement, and is one that is unequivocally false.
Director Cheatle, did you speak with your boss, Secretary Mayorkas? You fall under DHS. Did you speak with him on the 14th, the day after?
Yes, I did.
So you spoke with him before he made that statement?
I spoke with him immediately following the incident.
Did you inform him that all requests for additional resources for President Trump had been fulfilled? Or that it was false to say they had been denied?
I informed him that the request for that rally that day had been fulfilled.
Okay, you continue to answer that very carefully, because I made a broader statement. The agents that came to me made a broader statement that is permanent protective detail for years now have been asking for more. Is that correct?
I do not have specific incidents of those requests.
Is it correct that they've been asking for more?
I have heard the same reports that you have. Without having them in front of me, I am unable.
Those requests are made in writing. I mean, the agents are telling me they make them in writing.
Not asking
This
about
isn't a verbal agency.
what
Things are
she's
made in
heard.
writing.
I understand what you're saying. I don't.
Go for it, bro.
This isn't about what she's heard. This is about what she's seen herself.
What
They
do you?
need to stop letting her get away with this shit.
I mean, you can't. She's pretty strong.
When you are when you are asked, have requests been denied? Nobody's asking about reports of. You're asking a specific question. Have you denied requests from the team? Period.
The point is that should be a yes or no answer and not a I need to go back to the reports to try to, because she knows if she denied it, she knows. She's just not going to tell us because it looks bad. And so she would rather remain silent basically than testify against herself.
And I guarantee those reports are contained in her budget request for the additional $8 million fucking dollars.
I mean, she's just, man, I do admire her strength in not answering a goddamn question. It's amazing. I would have broken down and cried, or at least given up all the goods, because this is like mental torture. If I was her,
sir. They need to fucking pull out the towel and the water jugs.
Waterboarder.
Careful.
And waterboard that bitch on the fucking table.
That's pretty rough, dude. Like, disavow.
The views expressed by some of the panelists of Midlife do not reflect the channel's overall opinion.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do it old school. Car battery. Car battery cover cables.
No, stop. Just stop.
You know,
just stop.
Red's
Stop.
positive, black's negative.
Triggering my asthma.
Triggering the asthma. There we go. To anyone out there,
video, drown him out.
All right, let me spruik my channel for 1 second, please. If anyone's out there listening,
Drown her out.
Please sub to Midlife Bro Logic if you haven't done so already. I certainly would appreciate it. We're going to talk about politics and trending topics from a midlife bro point of view, and all views, of course, are welcome. And you can come join and have some fun with us. So hit that subscribe, please. Let's get back to it.
Don't have those requests in front of me here.
I'm not asking if you have them in front of you. Are you aware that they were made?
As I said earlier, there are times when requests are made, and depending on the availability of assets, or if there is a way that
So there were times when they were denied.
if there is a way that vulnerability can be mitigated in a different way, then that is why
So there are times when they were denied for a variety of reasons.
That is why the Secret Service has a multi-layered and multifaceted security plan, so that we can pivot if
So
we need to.
in the wake, I mean, in the immediate 48 hours of an assassination attempt on a former president, could be the next leader of the free world, almost had his head blown off. Your boss says that's irresponsible and false to say things are denied. And you had talked to him. So did he just make that on his own, make that up on his own? Or did you tell him that?
We were speaking about the requests made at the rally.
What's up?
Staff, can we show the next slide, please? Then we have your spokesman. Did you sign off on this statement? That there's an assertion that a member of the former president's team requested additional security resources and those were rebuffed. This is
All right, let me read this. There's an untrue assertion. This is from Anthony Google. How do you say this? Guglielmi. Never heard of this guy. Secret Service Spox, whatever that means. There's an untrue assertion. What, do you know his name? Do you know who he is?
I just read really good. Anthony Googly. Whoa, that's weird.
It is weird, and he's at
Google me. There's
Some kind
another L. It's Google me.
I guess it's Italian. I'm guessing. There's an There's an untrue assertion that a member of the former president's team requested additional security resources and that those were rebuffed. This is absolutely false. In fact, we added protective resources and technology capabilities as part of the increased campaign travel tempo. That's what that says. Let's go.
Is absolutely false. In fact, we added protective resources and technology and capability as part of the increased campaign travel tempo. But next slide, please. Next slide, please, staff. We have the Washington Post article that then says,
okay,
we now have senior Secret Service officials saying there were at times when it was denied. So which is it?
Again, there have been a number of conversations going on here.
Did you sign off on that spokesman's statement?
The spokesman's statement, I believe, was related to requests that were made.
Did
for
you
the
sign
rally.
off on it?
For the requests that were made at the rally.
Did
yes.
you sign off on the statement before it went out? I sign off on my press spokesman's statement before they go out. I would hope you would in the wake of an assassination attempt.
Yes.
You did.
She answered the question, y'all.
Categorically false that any requests were made. You signed off on it. Thank you for that. Thank you for that clarity.
He's going to get it for perjury.
Madam Director, how many press conferences have you held since the assassination?
He just set her up. He just set her up.
We have put out press releases.
How many press conferences have you held? Gone to the mic, taken questions from the public, from the media? How many?
I have not held any.
How many has Secretary Mayorkas held?
I don't.
0. How many has the FBI held? 0. How many has the Department of Justice held? I know you know the answer.
I believe there was a press conference in Butler after the incident occurred.
By local law enforcement, not by you and not by the Department of Homeland Security. So this is how misinformation flies. I mean, in the darkness, in the absence of information. Now we have 9 days later before a congressional committee, we all represent almost 1 million people, and you still don't have answers. Are you aware that national news anchors are saying this was a hoax? On national television, they're saying, no, the president wasn't shot, it was flying glass. Are you aware of that?
I have not heard those reports.
Are you aware that, I mean, there are rumors rampant online that there were multiple shooters?
Yes.
Are you aware that because the shooter had overseas encrypted platforms in Belgium and New Zealand and in Germany, that a lot of people are speculating there could have been foreign involvement, logically? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And have you done anything to disabuse any of these notions today? No, you haven't. Madam Director, I would fire you, regardless of the failure. I would fire you just how you've handled it since. You should have been the first to the mics to say, America, world, I want to assure you we're going to get to the bottom of this. I want to assure you full transparency. Our agency clearly had major gaps here, and I want to personally take responsibility and accountability. You should have been the first, standing alongside Secretary Mayorkas, and I would even go so far as to say have daily press conferences, updating everyone on what we know. But you haven't had any of that. What are you hiding behind?
I am not hiding.
Because you're making the situation worse. I think you've heard that on a bipartisan basis here. You are making this situation far worse in the absence of information. Let's move on. This is truly astounding. I want to be clear because you keep dodging the issue. Has President Trump's permanent protective detail requested additional assets over the last few years? He is clearly not your average former president. He's not Jimmy Carter in an old folks home. He's not President Bush painting out in his barn. He has multiple residences, a lot of rallies. He's very publicly engaged, and he has a foreign threat in addition to domestic threats. Have they requested additional resources?
That's the last question, but please feel free to answer.
Thank you,
Director.
We have continued, as I stated earlier, to increase over the past year the assets that are at the former president's residence and supplied to his detail.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just ask for one more indulgence. It is clear you have not been to Butler, Pennsylvania. Leaders lead and should be on the ground. You have not been there. Instead, you went to the RNC. but you weren't originally even going to go there. Where were you originally scheduled to go besides the RNC, a national special security event?
I was always scheduled to go to
Mr.
RNC.
Chairman, I would like to enter into the record that the director was scheduled to go to Aspen, hobnobbing around with, I don't know what liberal elites go to Aspen. That was where you were originally
Without
scheduled to
objection,
go to
order.
speak at a forum.
I was scheduled to go to the RNC. I was going to leave the RNC for 24 hours and return back to the RNC.
I hope, as your predecessor, Julie Pearson, with a security incident on the White House and under the Obama administration and Reagan's Secret Service detail lead, I would hope you would have the dignity for the sake of the agents in the service to resign.
Gentleman's time's expired.
Thank you.
I'd like to enter a few things into the record. First of all, the remaining articles that Mr. Biggs was wanting to enter into the record without objection, so ordered. Next, I have a written statement from Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania. His district includes Butler, and he has a written statement that we'd like to enter into the record without objection, so ordered. A bipartisan 114th Congressional report titled United States Secret Service and Agency in Crisis.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me the congressman who represents the region that Donald Trump got shot at can't show up? I mean, bro, that's pretty pathetic. Now's your time to shine. Pathetic, quite frankly.
This was prepared by former Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz and former Ranking Member Elijah
He's
Cummings.
probably in his
And
district where he
lastly,
needs to be.
the issue subpoenaed compelling Director Cheatle's appearance at today's hearing without objection, so ordered. That concludes our question segment. I want to thank the Director for your testimony today. I now yield to the Ranking Member for closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And Director Cheatle, I also want to thank you for your patience over the course of what must have been a very long and trying hearing for you. It has been an unusually encouraging hearing and an unusually depressing hearing. And what's encouraging, Mr. Chairman, is that we came together to issue a strong statement deploring and categorically denouncing political violence in America. And I also didn't see any daylight between the members of the two parties today at the hearing in terms of our bafflement and outrage about the shocking operational failures that led to disaster and near catastrophe on July 13th, 2024. What is depressing is the extraordinary communications gap between the director of the Secret Service and Congress. And I don't want to add to the director's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. But I will be joining the chairman in calling for the resignation of the director, just because I think that this relationship is irretrievable at this point. And I think that the director has lost the confidence of Congress at a very urgent and tender moment in the history of the country. And we need to very quickly move beyond this. But what I will say, Mr. Chairman, is that I took this hearing to be about two major policy failures. And one policy failure is the one that got the vast majority of the attention, which was the failure of the Secret Service to
Yeah, look at that. Trump is the great uniter. He did. It is. Congress is united in taking this woman to task. I'm shocked, honestly.
effectively respond to a gunman on a roof within 150 yards of a presidential visit and speech. But the other failure is on the part of Congress, because the mass shooting that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania, is replicated all over the country every day. And in fact, as I said, Mr. Chairman, it happened that evening in Alabama, in Birmingham, Alabama, where there was a mass shooting where more people even were killed and wounded than were killed and wounded in Butler, Pennsylvania. So it's true, the president, the former president, and a handful of people who get the Secret Service protection are the only people in America we thought were safe from an AR-15 attack. It's clear that they're not safe either, and we've got to get to the bottom of that. But we also have to get to the bottom of the larger problem, which is that the whole country is living like this in fear and in terror of assault weapon attacks in movie theaters, churches, synagogues, mosques, supermarkets, Walmarts, any place where an audience or a public gathers. And the worst was in Las Vegas, where a gunman got up on a roof and then just mowed down 60 people below him and wounded hundreds and hundreds of other people. So we've got to deal with that problem. We've got to move as swiftly as we can to deal with the problems of the Secret Service, but the broader problem is still there. And I just wish to the heavens that our colleagues that could get together on the question of presidential security against an AR-15 attack could get together on the question of public security against an AR-15 attack, because all of us are vulnerable. All of our families are in danger by this, and the rest of the world doesn't live this way. And we have to look to see how uniquely strange it is that we allow 20-year-olds to access AR-15s, weapons of mass destruction, and show up in public places to endanger other people. And I hope, Mr. Chairman, we can work together on that with the same spirit of bipartisan commitment to the public safety that was exemplified here today. And I yield back to you.
Ranking member yields back. I'll deliver my closing remarks. Director Cheatle, I've subpoenaed you to appear today to get answers for the American people about the failures that led to the assassination attempt of President Donald J. Trump. Unfortunately, you refuse to answer today. And this committee is not known for its model of bipartisanship, but I think today we came together unanimously in our disappointment for your lack of answers. You've stated that the FBI will investigate and give a report, and you estimate 60 days. We've been waiting for months and months for lots of different bits of information from the FBI. We have no confidence in the FBI. The majority of this committee has no confidence in the FBI. I sincerely hoped that the hearing today would give not just Congress confidence in the Secret Service, but the American people would have confidence in the Secret Service. We don't have confidence, not just in Congress. I don't believe the American people tonight, when they go to bed, are going to have confidence that the Secret Service is the best it can be at protecting President Biden, at protecting the First Lady, at protecting President Trump, at protecting their families. That's what the primary role for the Secret Service should be. And some people have said and speculated, well, there needs to be more money and more employees. As I stated early on, $3.1 billion, I believe next year it's going to be $3.2 billion budget, over 8,000 employees. If the Secret Service is spread too thin and doing things like inspecting counterfeit, which is what the Secret Service was created to do, was to inspect counterfeit money and things like that with the Treasury. If it's spread too thin, then we need to come together in Congress, and I think we can do that in a bipartisan way to narrow the focus of the Secret Service, to protect the leaders of our country, to protect our elections by protecting our candidates. And I don't believe we have any confidence that you can do that as the leader of the FBI. I sincerely hope that we would adjourn this committee hearing and have confidence, not just in the Secret Service, but in you as director of the Secret Service. But we do not. Taking responsibility requires a lot of things. It means providing transparency. It means answering simple questions. It means providing a specific timeline of July 13th to this committee and the American people. I mean, it's been 9 days. There were people that were demanding that we have a hearing the next day or 2 days following the shooting. And I said, no, we need to give the Secret Service